Hello, everybody, and welcome to our discussion of Christopher Nolan's latest movie, Tenet, and also Confused Matthew's supremely bad No Country for Old Men review. Joining me today, at least for the initial Tenet discussion, is Mr.
We live in a twilight world.
What?
We live in a twilight world.
No Friends at Dusk.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And we have another guest, first timer on the show. Please welcome. Grant Paulsen, welcome.
Hello there.
This is going to be an interesting one. It's like, this is one of the weirdest films I've ever watched in my life. At least,
Yeah, it's definitely one that you will not pick up on everything on first watch.
yeah. And yes, I'm sorry I am late. I had some trouble with the steak I was cooking. I needed to cook it immediately. And since I accidentally put some coconut oil on it, so I'm just like, it's not bad. But so, Tenet. From a brief, just 1 second, 5-minute pitch, how would you describe Tenet to the audience who has not seen it yet? I would describe it as a spy movie with the gimmick of inverted time sequencing, where they're trying to prevent a world war where people are using reverse time travel as a way of winning this weird war with a Russian arms dealer who wants to end the world along with himself.
Yeah, that's pretty much the size of it. I think that it's a potential world war that isn't exactly explained.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they wanted a sequel, but aren't going to get it.
It would be an interesting sequel. It would be interesting. It didn't do well its initial weekend. It's since gotten it's picked up a bit. It made 50 million its first weekend, and now it's made 200 million by this point. So,
has it really? 200 million?
It's made 200 million so far, and its budget was 200 million.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Reverse. Okay, how do I describe the inverted time thing in this movie? So,
rewind.
Yeah, it kind of is like Rewind, where you have a dude. I guess the concept might be you kind of think about, I guess how to describe it, where there are certain people that are forward in time, and then there are people that have gone backward in time. So you start off at one thing, you go into this thing, you go out the other end of it, and and it's usually created in almost a polarity thing, where it's like same device on one side and another device on the other that's kind of in the past or is in the reverse zone. I can't. Oh, how do I describe it? It's just like it's weird to describe this movie if you haven't seen it.
It's like if you go through that device that's in the movie, then in your perspective, you're moving forward just like normal, but everything around you is going backwards. And then if you go back through it again, then you're back to normal, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Because, like, you know, the beginning, they fight the two bodyguards. Are we allowed to do spoilers?
Let's just say full spoilers because you can't talk about this movie without spoiling it in any detail.
Okay. So, you know, the guys who they fought in the art museum turned out to be themselves, like, in the future. So,
or at least him in the future that has gone back in time to help the lady so that she can go through it and be fixed.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not really time travel or even time dilation. It's just changing the vector of time so that it goes backwards.
Pretty much.
It's still going at the same speed, it's just the other way.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like, from the protagonist's point of view, like when they were fighting later on, he was moving forward and then his past self was moving backwards. But before that, when they were in the art museum, it was like the other way around.
Yeah. And then like, but I think like it made like the twist at the end where the key where Robert Pattinson pulls the what is it, the pulls
That
the
giant barbell.
well, I was thinking that he pulls off the mask and he sees, oh, and then just the guy vanishes. I was thinking like, oh, so the mask gets pulled up, they vanish, but then it turns out, oh no, it's protagonist.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that whole "I can't breathe past air" works.
I think that because like everything is inverted, the air is also inverted. So rather than breathing the inverted air, you would suffocate on it.
Yeah, like wouldn't, if time around you is reversed, wouldn't like literally everything in the natural environment be reversed too? So how could you like live?
I imagine there would be other effects than that, like you can't eat. Obviously, if you can't interact with the world. Then again, if you take it to its extreme, then you couldn't touch anything, and then you wonder what's the point. You just might as well go back. You might as well just go through the time reverser, come out, twiddle your thumbs for 2 days, and then go back through it. And hey, you're back 2 days in the past. It's a very tedious way of traveling through time, but it's functional.
Mm-hmm. And it technically isn't time travel, right? It's just like reversing the flow of time.
Yeah, it's like it almost felt kind of Final Crisis-y, especially with those time bullets. It's like a bullet that can be fired backwards in time. That's basically how you kill a new god, kinda.
I did think that one thing about the movie was really good in terms of like a very subtle visual setups and payoffs, where at least in like the car chase, because of what's going to happen in the future, their past, the car, like one of the windshield, one of the what is it, the rear view mirrors on the sides is broken from the beginning of the car chase, and then abruptly when the car streams past them in reverse, they are like the damage instantly repairs itself.
Yeah, but it also telegraphs it massively. So it's like they walk into a room, there's a dismantled gun and a few bullet holes in the wall, and I'm going, gee, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah. I would agree.
So would the car chase on the highway, does that really make sense? Because the cars are going in reverse and they're like, it's like repairing itself.
Well, if the car wasn't inverted, then you have a problem.
Well, wasn't that machine the only way to like invert someone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going through the machine makes things inverted. But if you have a inverted person driving a normal car, that's gonna run into some problems because isn't the car's engine going to like go backwards from their perspective and therefore not work right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you invert a car?
You can invert a car. Just drive it into that one thing and make it come out the other side, or have a smart car or something. I don't know.
Well, how would a car fit through that thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of questions that we have, to say the least.
And I feel like the movie either should have answered those questions or just not have been like as complicated as it was.
Yeah, it's exceptionally like. I think it's like it's like a gear. I think like Tenet is like a set of like several gears. You got the character gears, you have the plot gears, and then you have and then you have like the time travel gear. The issue with Tenet is that in terms of like the mechanics, some things aren't explained. So there's a few nicks in the gear of the time travel. The plot is very expertly crafted in terms of there are a lot of like telegraphed events that are very subtly visually foreshadowed if you're looking carefully. But then the issue is some of the ways that it gets there doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and they really overstuffed the movie with way too much exposition.
Yeah. I think the part of it was like there was no intention for sequels with this movie, or at least like I think there wasn't.
So, I don't think there is, no.
Yes, Christopher Nolan kind of doesn't really do sequels other than like the Batman movies.
And we can all see how those worked out.
Yeah.
I still think Dark Knight Rises is his worst movie.
I would have to concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises is far worse constructed than this.
Yeah, it's like the problem Nolan's always had. I even had this problem in Dark Knight, is that Nolan thinks he's way smarter than he actually is. He thinks he's got these really brilliant ideas when, in fact, there's a reason people don't put onions in pumpkin pie.
That's kind of what it felt like to me. Like he was trying so hard to.
It's like gotta write with inside this concept. It's this really cool concept of backwards time, and I have to implement the story in all these ways. And no one at any point said, "No, Chris, no, you don't. You don't have to do this."
Yeah, apparently he's been working on the script for this for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah,
6 years.
Yeah, at least like Critical Drinker said that like it's taken him 6 years to try and make this movie. Which I would actually like say like, so, Interstellar was his last movie to come out, and that was in 2015. So
wasn't Dunkirk his last movie to come out before Tenet?
Was what? Interstellar? I thought that was Interstellar.
Dunkirk came out in 2017.
Dunkirk was Nolan?
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like Nolan.
Yeah, it's very different. I honestly think Dunkirk is probably his best movie since Inception. I actually thought that was a pretty refreshing movie for him because it was way better than all his other movies from like 2010 onwards.
Okay, so Aging Yokai Zero had a question. An inverted person, is that some sort of new type of gender or something? I'm getting confused. Okay, so so inverted person, so there are inverted objects where, say, you are a, how do I explain? Okay, so you have, say, a person trying to get to either an inversion device or in an inverted like container thing that allows you to like work with time. And what you do is the person is going through the events that have happened, and then for them, time is moving forward, but for the people on the other side, time is moving backward for you. So, like, somebody coming out of one of the inverted machines will come at someone, and then they will, and there are bullet holes in the thing. So when they shoot, the bullet to the person on the other side is going back into the bullet. It's
man. Just imagine taking an inverted crap.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I didn't even think about that. Holy shit.
That's terrible. Yeah. It's a strange movie to talk about. I guess like let me pull up the Wikipedia like synopsis and maybe we can kind of give some context. So like it starts off with Denzel Washington and John David Washington. He was a very charismatic guy. Most of the like the charisma of his character comes from him, not the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, unnamed CIA agent, the protagonist, participates in an undercover operation in a Kiev opera house. He's aided by a masked soldier with a distinctive trinket who seems to unfire a bullet through a hostile gunman, who I imagine is Mr. Robert Pattinson, but that will be revealed later. Oh yeah, since distinctive trinket. Yeah, since that same trinket shows up in the end. So, after rescuing an exposed site and seizing a strange artifact, the protagonist is captured by Russian mercenaries. He endures torture, which is getting his teeth pulled out, which is like, ouch. But he gets a cyanide pill. Unfortunately, he later learns that the cyanide film was fake, as in it's a knockout pill that puts you in a medically induced coma.
Remember that for later.
Yeah. And like they were able to reconstruct his mouth after he got his teeth pulled out. It was like prove that he was a pretty hard bugger. Like, yeah, and apparently like the artifact was lost. So now he's employed by a secret organization called Tenet, which is supposed to keep the human race alive by preventing World War III with time travel as the nukes. And apparently he meets a lady named Barbara. Oh, I did not know that was his name. I just thought, oh, that's Fleur Delacour from the Harry Potter movies. And apparently, like, there's inverted entropy. She's studying bullets with inverted entropy that allows them to move backwards through time. Apparently, they're manufactured in the future, and there exists a weapon that can wipe out the past. The protagonist, why didn't they just give him a name? Why didn't they just give him a name?
I don't know.
You might as well just call him Washington.
Yeah, I'll just say Washington.
Do you think he was good at the movie, by the way?
I think that he was good with what he was given.
Yeah, I agree.
Since he himself is very charismatic and is able to do he's able to give a lot of spunk and personality, at least like a little bit of like sass. But the thing is, like, the script doesn't allow him to show his charm. He's definitely like incredible in the fight. Like, I'm like, wow, that is some impressive fighting.
Yeah, the fight choreography was a huge step up for Nolan films. Because he hasn't done too well with that in the past.
Yeah.
But John David Washington's a really good actor. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I thought he was really good in Black Klansman.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I need to see that. But apparently he traces the bullet cartridge to a Mumbai-based arms dealer named Priya Singh. However, and he's assisted by a local contact named Neil, played by Robert Pattinson, who's the best character who I would say is like the best, both most interesting and most likable character in the film.
Yeah, probably. I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I guess by process of elimination, because this was not a character movie.
No, it's very much like I think that no one kind of like has a consistent problem with characters. Like, a lot of them are kind of just philosophical guys.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like the trappings of a spy movie, because it being a spy movie, naturally 90% of the dialogue is like passive-aggressive euphemisms.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I know that Nolan is capable of like good character work, because I think Memento, The Prestige, and The Dark Knight all have good character writing.
Yeah, but it's like here the characters really get the steam taken out of them because the time travel just monopolizes the writing.
Yeah, and I'm confused why he's decided to, just in like the past decade, he just doesn't seem to care about writing characters anymore, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like he wants these big, fancy set piece kinds of things like Interstellar and Memento and crap, the dream one, Inception.
Yeah, but
It's like
Memento
he thinks that's his calling as a director. I'm not sure if he's wrong, though.
Memento actually has like it has the high concept with, you know, similar to like Tenet and Inception, but I think Memento is a really exceptional character study at the same time.
Yeah, but that's sort of what Tenet should have been.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that.
Yeah, the ending especially is just kind of weird, and we'll get to the ending once I finish like reading out the synopsis. But it's really, really forced. At least like post the climax, it's like wrap this up, and there are things that kind of don't work about it, and it's kind of annoying. Okay.
What do you guys think of the antagonist?
I was impressed by Kenneth Branagh's Russian accent. Like that I was like, I knew that, like I'm used to Kenneth Branagh having his normal very posh British accent, or maybe even a Southern accent if he's in Wild Wild West. But oh, we got another guy coming in.
It's weird because I've heard mixed things about his performance. Like, I've heard some people say his Russian accent was good, and some said it was not accurate, so I'm not sure.
Well, let me bring in my guest and we'll continue.
Doing.
Yeah, so this is the same guy that made Inception. This explains everything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, this is starting to sound as complicated as Inception.
When it's really not. Well, complicated is the right word. Deep is not.
Mm.
It's very. The plot is very simple once you know what's going on, but it's like it complicates things a lot.
Yeah, and Inception has like some questions when you exit the movie, but I think for the most part the script covers a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like the questions are kind of designed to be answered if you just think about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The questions basically are answered. There's nothing you're going to walk out of this movie wondering what was what. This is not Joker.
Okay.
It's more just like I was like when I saw the scene where so basically he is trying to go back through a moment in time where like he was originally, and he fights his way through, and it turns out it kind of reverses. So when you first see it, you see a guy coming out of the film, out of this spinny object, almost like a centrifuge, and he comes out and he starts fighting Washington. and he seems to be going in reverse. And then he gets out, gets away, and then like at the end of the second act, he comes in right as he was leaving. So in terms of time, he is going backwards to the fight he fought us back. If that makes any sense. So, Wise Wolf, John D. Washington's in the movie is literally protagonist. That's what he's credited now. Is he doesn't have a name.
I imagine him and Neptune getting into a fight over who's the protagonist.
Yeah, I think there's like just a lot of weirdness happening. Let me keep reading through this synopsis. Frontier, who turns out to be a member of Tenet. Her cartridges were purchased and inverted by Andrei Sator.
Okay, Dunn, your mic is getting really choppy.
Yeah, he's like way out there.
Oh shoot, sorry. Does this sound better? Let me turn around.
Yeah.
Okay. He finds out that Priya is a member of Tenet, and that her cartridges were purchased and inverted by Andrei Sator, a Russian oligarch originating from Salsk 12, a former Soviet closed city, and apparently he can communicate with the future. Washington approaches Sator's estranged wife, Pat, an art appraiser who unknowingly sold Sator a forged Goya painting. She reveals that Sator uses the paint drawing to get her under control. I actually think that that's the interesting thing with the movie, where you see this moment in time, and this is very much a everything that has been will have happened, will have and will have has happened.
Except not really.
Yeah, except not really. Yeah, there are certain like weird changes, like at the end where like it shows that he is thrown off of the boat. It's different than it's ever so slightly different, since it's different since he apparently threw himself off the boat, but then she like sees him throw himself off when she comes back or whatever. I'm not or as she was leaving. It's strange. Okay. So to enlist Cat's help, he plans to steal a drawing from Freeport, a facility within Oslo Airport. Inside the Freeport, they find a machine, also later referred to as the turnstile, in which two masked men approach. The inverted one attacks Washington, while Neil chases after the other one. Neil prevents Washington from killing the inverted man, adding that he took care of the other one. The reason for this is revealed later, because it's actually Washington who has inverted himself trying to get through the turnstile and get through the other end. And it's revealed when he pulls off the mask. Initially, like Neil pulls out the mask, and then the guy vanishes, like around the corner. But then when you see it later, it turns out, oh, it was Washington who was inverted, who was on that side, and just ran through.
Yes.
It's this movie kind of defies conventional analysis in a lot of ways. I'd be interested to kind of just do a commentary on this movie when it comes out on like streaming platforms. Since I know that Inception is now on Netflix, maybe this will go to Netflix as well.
People might actually watch it more if they actually release it on VOD.
Yeah, but supposedly Nolan hates that stuff. He fought to get it in theaters, and I think that may have been what, at least financially, kicked this movie in the balls.
Yeah, because a lot of people still don't want to go to the theater.
Yeah, I had the theater I went to. The first one was completely dead and broken down because there wasn't enough maintenance staff at the AMC, and they couldn't get it working. So they just kicked me ahead to a later showing at a different room, and I got a free ticket for Dune, I guess.
Nice. Well, that works out. Admittedly, you got a kind of terrible experience, but
Yeah, these movie theaters are still reeling from the groin shot that is the lockdowns. They're still kind of there.
yeah. So, so Priya explains. So later on, Priya explains that the turnstiles developed in the future and can invert the entropy of objects and people, and the two masked men were the same person. So kind of setting it up for later. And like this movie does really good setup and payoff. I think that this is I think that you could like teach a class on like setup and payoff using this movie.
Setup and payoff is not as hard as people think it is.
Well, these days, tell that to Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi and most mainstream movies out there.
What were like some parts that you noticed? Because on my first viewing, I didn't really notice any setup or payoff, really.
I think a great
Basically,
example.
whenever you see anything backwards, that's a setup for something else.
A great example of setup and payoff is the relationship between Halo 2 and Halo 3. Halo 2 is just one great big giant setup, and then Halo 3 is one big giant payoff.
I know what it is. I meant an example in Tenet.
Oh no! I just wanted to say that. I'm not defining what setup and payoff are. I'm just making a sensational statement.
It's things that are backwards. You know that scene in the lab where the lab technician is showing Washington all that stuff that's been flung back in time from the future World War III. I thought we were supposed to pay attention to that stuff, and that was supposed to be like stuff that we would notice later in the movie. This is one of those movies where I was keeping an eye on all the license plates and expecting to like see another license plate flip backwards or something, or maybe like have the credits play in reverse or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, nothing cutesy like that.
Okay, so
if you're expecting that, you're gonna waste your effort.
I think that setup and payoff, there are three specific moments. There are the moment where the guy with the little artifact, the little trinket on his jacket, saves him, both at the opera house, and then he sees him again at the end, dead on the ground, and then it's revealed that Neil had it, and that Neil goes down and helps him out by opening the door.
Yeah, so if the timeline of the movie were linear, then Neil would have died at that point, and so from there he can only just go backwards in time. So, which makes me think: is he going to keep going backwards?
Mm-hmm.
Can he can he just ignore the fact that he died?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
From the way Dunn makes it sound, I haven't seen this movie, but from the way Dunn makes it sound, it's almost like it's not necessarily a good or bad movie. It's more like just a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily use that word because usually you use phenomenons for like
Well, I mean
things that are like
phenomenon
big
in that it's
cultural
difficult to
headstones.
define. Well, what I mean is it's difficult to measure.
Mhm.
Would that sound right?
Maybe like an aberration / anomaly. Maybe that would work better. Or an aberration or anomaly maybe work better than phenomenon.
Hey,
Yeah,
you make me
because
kind of
Dark
want to see
Knight
it.
was a phenomenon, but
Well, okay, I don't mean, when I say phenomenon, I don't mean, does the word phenomenon have positive connotations to it? I don't think it does.
it tends to.
Like for instance, like Star Wars was a cultural phenomenon. It's often described that way. Same with Game of Thrones when it was.
Yeah, I guess anomaly would be a better word then. I didn't mean a positive connotation. I just meant kind of out there. Like, it's
Like an-
difficult to measure.
let's define phenomenon. Just really quick. So
Yeah, let's do that actually.
okay, okay. Oh, okay. Maybe it's just okay. Never mind. So a fact or situation that is observed to exist or happen, especially one whose cause or explanation is uncertain, a remarkable person, thing, or event. The
Yeah, I
book,
kind of I meant it that way. I know sometimes people use certain words in like a cultural way and the definition kind of gets positive and negative connotations to it. I think a
yeah,
good example of that is, I mean, I don't mean to get off topic, but when am I going to talk about this again? I think a good example of that is the word bigotry. People take that as specifically meaning things like racism. That's not actually the definition of that word. That's more like a cultural definition of it. The literal definition of the word bigotry is just to not to be have low tolerance for the ideas of others. That's the literal definition of it. So maybe maybe we were having something like that there just now, where there's like a little bit of a cultural definition that gets mixed in.
yeah, yeah. There's actually like when I looked it up, it's like there's two definitions. It's either a remarkable thing, place, or event, or it's a thing that is slightly in question.
Mm.
So I guess like there's like you were totally right. I guess like there's just two definitions of the word, kind of like there's multiple definitions of
It's
the
just
word.
kind of funny how that happens, though. Like, it makes you wonder where these secondary definitions come from, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just people like misusing words and then the misuse catches on more than the actual use, like literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People like to use literally to embellish the significance of something, when in reality it means no, you're
That's
actually changing
literally not what
completely
it
what
means.
that means when you say the word literally.
Yep. So okay.
I've gotten in arguments with people where they're like, "You're literally fucking me in the ass right now," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And that's a true story. I'm not making that up. That's actually happened.
I
I've had
believe it.
family members say to me, quote, "You are literally fucking me in the ass right now." I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I went upstairs.
I literally believe that.
I am going to clip that and use it as a reaction. I need to clip that, and I need to go back through this and clip that because that is hilarious. Alright.
You got to include Drake laughing in the background. Drake?
Yeah,
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 Drake.
yeah. Okay, on the Amalfi Coast, believing the drawing was destroyed, she introduces Washington to Sator, only to learn that the drawing is still intact. Oh dear. The three probably because like he's able to move through time somewhat. The three go on a boating trip. She attempts to drown Sattler, but Washington save him. Posing him as a freelancer, he offers to help Sator retrieve a case of plutonium. In Talon, they ambush an armored convoy to steal the plutonium, but it's in fact an artifact. It was the artifact lost in the botched Kiev Opera House siege. His escape is compromised by two vehicles driven by inverted individuals, one of which is Sator, who holds Cat hostage. Protagonist gives Sator the empty case. He retreats, leaving Cat in the speeding vehicle. But after saving her, the protagonist is captured and taken to Sator's warehouse containing another turnstile. After confusing interrogation, an inverted Sator who shoots Cat with an inverted round and a normal one to demand the location of the artifact, about which the protagonist lies. A team of Tenet operatives, led by Ives, arrives and played by I can't remember his name. Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's actually like not bad in the movie. Like he's competent military dude, sergeant type. So the protagonist takes more than wounded Cat through Sator's turnstile to invert her whole self, neutralizing the effect of the round. He returns to the ambush site chased after Sator. His vehicle is overturned and Sator sets it on fire. He's hit by I'm steaming, and the weird thing about this is even temperature is inverted. So you have like if your hot is cold. So like if you like he gets in the car is on fire and he basically freezes. And he nearly gets hypothermia. It's kind of a weird setup for a joke, but yeah, I guess so. So his vehicle is overturned. He's saved by Ives' team again. Neil reveals that he is Robert Pattinson, and they travel back in time to Freeport a week earlier, and the protagonist is able to fight his past self before reaching the turnstile and uninverting himself. And that's where it's revealed, oh, okay, Neil saw him when he pulled off his mask and saw, oh, okay, you're cool, go. And then he takes Cat through the turnstile and uninverts both of them so that she gets fine. Priya explains that the artifacts are part of an algorithm capable of catastrophically inverting the entire world.
That really sucks.
Which is kind of like, yeah, that part's weird. Let's kind of talk about that.
What part?
The algorithm capable device, the weird jigsaw puzzle
The
thing.
giant dumbbell?
Yeah, the giant dumbbell. Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's a giant set of like various different puzzles. It's a 3D dumbbell puzzle. It's a 3D puzzle made of dumbbell ends.
And it's like you basically screw it together and it all completes into this giant long oblong thing.
And apparently it's capable of inverting time.
I thought the twist for that was that it was going to be made of the plutonium that they wound up retrieving in the movie. And that they were going to make it themselves and we were going to see it from the other side.
Oh, that would be
But no, that didn't actually happen. I was way overthinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. Then, currently, the Doomsday device is capable of inverting all of time, destroying it, and causing it to implode on itself.
And here's the thing, we never figure out if that was what was actually going to happen. Because when it comes to these paradoxes, the movie resoundingly and repeatedly just shrugged its shoulders and go, probably.
Yeah.
We never actually see it happen or anything even remotely close to it to set up that some bad thing could happen if inverted touch is normal.
And then we have apparently, so people in the future have been trying to get Sator or Cat Brown to assemble it. he wants to gather it in all of the parts of the algorithm in one place, which he does, and then like tosses it so that he can get it back. Cat reveals Cat reveals that he's dying of pancreatic cancer, and he wants to trigger the algorithm with a dead man switch, believing the world would end with him. She thinks that he's going to kill himself during their vacation in Vietnam, where they were last happy together, which has been set up since the beginning of the middle of the first act, I think.
Yeah. Interestingly, the means by which he tries to kill himself is that suicide pill he wound up taking off Washington at the beginning of the movie. And we know that that's not how that pill works. So I'm thinking he's going to wake up and find himself in a coma and realize that the dead man switch didn't actually go off. So it was all pointless.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah.
Unless the guy planned to like grab Kat's gun that she had hidden and then shoot himself, then.
But he doesn't die. He just wakes up like 20 years later, and he's like, "Ooh."
Not 20 years, more like 2 weeks, because that's how it worked for Washington at the beginning. And he's gonna wake up and find, crap.
So after that, Washington, Neil, Cat, and the Tenet forces invert back to the day so the Cat can delay Sator's death while Tenet secures the algorithm. Tenet tracks the algorithm to House 12, located in Northern Siberia. They commence a temporal pincer movement. Okay, so a temporal pincer movement is one of the weirder things that is created by this movie, where it's almost like a circle that happens, where you have one end of the circle being one force of troops, and then another person on the opposite end of that, where one person is in the past going forward, going backward, it seems, while the other side is another force going in the present, going forward.
Yeah, that was another twist that I called incorrectly. What I called was going to be the twist is that you got the blue team going backwards through time and the red team going forwards through time. I thought what they were going to do is that at some point at the midpoint of this entire operation, red team's all going to take off their bands, put on blue bands, and it turns out the blue team is red team. But that's me overthinking things again.
It's actually a pretty good idea.
Because that's basically how the pincer movement is supposed to work. The idea is that you experience what you're trying to stop, and then age past it by another 10 minutes, and then you start going backwards again through it, knowing what's going to happen, and then from the other side, now that you know what's going to happen, you can go through it. Except as the movie points out, that doesn't actually work. It's going to give you like an instinct as to generally what may happen without your intervention, but it's not a guarantee.
There's also like kind of when an inverted, like there's a moment that I think was kind of weird that I kind of defies analysis, where there's a reverse grenade shot or like reverse rocket shot that hits a ruined building that repairs the building.
Yeah, the one rocket shot at the top of the building, one rocket shot at the bottom, but the rocket got sucked out of the bottom of the building, and then forward rocket hit the top.
Mm-hmm.
Or I may be getting it backwards.
Yeah, it's very weird. This whole movie is kind of it's kind of designed to screw with your brain a little bit. Like I had a headache for like 4 hours after watching this movie, because I just I couldn't figure out I couldn't like totally wrap my brain around it, and even now I'm just like having like trouble like figuring it out.
But it wasn't for anything. It wasn't like trying to figure out what the plot of the movie was. It was trying to figure out what was going on in the set piece, which is really rather pointless considering that all that really matters is getting the mission done.
Uh-huh.
It's like I see the guy blown through the wall, and then the rubble of the wall starts shaking, but it was an inverted guy, you know, because his blue armband. And then you see him get sucked back through the wall by an inverted explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the big twist at the end, where it turns out Pattinson's character got inside the vault that Washington was trying to get into, and you see him shot dead, and you know it's him because he's got that little red string, which I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, he winds up getting a bullet sucked out of him by the bad guy, and then Washington can finally break through. Or something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. So half of their troops move forward in time to the blast zone, while the other half moves inverted. In Vietnam, Kat finds Sator on his yacht and pretends to be her younger self. In Sask 12, Washington and Ives are prevented from reaching the algorithm by a locked gate. An inverted masked corpse with a red trinket on its backpack springs to life, saves the protagonist from a gunshot, then opens the gate and goes backward. Kat, unable to let Sator die believing she succeeded, prematurely kills him just as the protagonist and Ives secure the algorithm. She dies from the yacht, witnessed by her past self, which is interesting because that kind of breaks the usual... maybe that's kind of part of the everything has and will have happened bit. That's possible. Since we see like a shirt and he's not wearing a shirt. So I guess that could work. Then the three guys break up the algorithm's components and part ways. Washington then notices a red trinket on Neil's rucksack. Robert Pattinson reveals that he was later recruited. He was recruited by Washington years early, and this mission is the end of a long friendship. And then apparently in London, Priya attempts to have Kat assassinated, but is killed by Washington, who has realized that he is the future mastermind behind Tenet. Which is like... Huh? That part was confusing. Where it's just like, okay, so basically you are going to like put yourself through a giant inversion in order to go back to a point way back in time, form Tenet in order to create this time loop where you then are masterminding this whole thing from the beginning and then keep going, knowing that it's going to work, but you set it in motion.
It has me wondering, what's this guy's fate going to be? Is he going to wind up going... Actually, here's the scary thought. What if he starts going backwards in time, and as time goes backwards, it goes so far that the machine used to make this time travel happen yet doesn't exist anymore, and so he's just stuck going backwards forever. He is so screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's annoying.
I think that's when you reverse blow your brains out.
Yeah, find the... if you suck the bullet out of JFK and it goes through your own head.
Yeah.
I guess you blow your brains in.
Well, time going forward for you is just everything else is backwards. So it would look like you sucked your brains in.
Yeah.
Oh man, what would inverted sex look like?
You'd have to keep those masks on, quite literally, because inverted air makes it so that you can't breathe inverted air. It just would make your lungs like collapse in on themselves.
Yeah, but would the kid be inverted or?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh my gosh, an inverted kid penis.
Well, we're talking long term.
Oh gosh, that's a weird thought.
6 years and he didn't think of this. I don't know. It did not look like 6 years worth of work went into this.
Yeah, red. It is red versus blue. Yeah. So, but yeah, this movie is a very strange thing, since I can say that like there are a few things that are just like that are weird about the writing. I don't think it's broken, like something like The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, where the mechanics of the plot are clearly not made thought through. No, they do not destroy the present. They figure out a way to like separate the algorithm into pieces and then go away. They didn't destroy the present. No. Yeah. They didn't destroy the present. No. This is just a weird like thing to discuss, because it's very much defies analysis in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but it's like that was the goal to which it was written, to defy analysis.
Would you say it defies analysis, or that it merely subverts it?
It makes it difficult.
It inverts your expectations.
Yeah, but it's kind of like we have had such bad movies the past few years.
Yeah, if cinema hadn't sucked total ass up till now, this would have not been regarded as well as it is.
Last year was actually pretty great, though. Like, have you guys seen all the things that came out last year?
What was last year?
Last year there were films like Parasite, The Lighthouse, Marriage Story. It seemed
like it was a good year for indie movies, but like for like a lot of blockbuster movies, it was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, well, I've kind of started to like not care as much about blockbusters anymore, because they've all been like bad lately. So
yeah, like
2019 also gave us Endgame. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Endgame was that bad.
It gets worse every time I see it.
I think one of the problems that kind of we've had is like this is kind of the first like cerebral, like, or at least like trying to be cerebral blockbuster that we've got in a while. I think that right now, like, it's pretty much the only good movie I've seen all year.
For me, it's the only movie I've seen all year.
So by default, I think like I need to see Extraction and The Old Guard, because apparently those are at least like solid action movies.
I just want to see The Lighthouse because I like Willem Dafoe.
The Lighthouse is amazing.
Is it?
It's so good.
Yeah, all my friends are trying to get me to see it because they know I've been saying for years I wish Willem Dafoe would take a lead role in something.
Yeah,
like, just see The Lighthouse, just see it.
Yeah, his performance in that movie is exceptional.
Maybe I'll finally find something of his that I like even more than his character in Beyond Two Souls. Because he plays a tortured scientist in that one, and I really enjoyed that performance.
I
But
think
Willem Dafoe is kind of like the new Joe Pesci. It's like he just plays Willem Dafoe.
not in The Lighthouse. He doesn't. It's way different.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I think that with Tenet, like the ending of Tenet, does I don't think I think that the ending is the weakest point, specifically the last 5 minutes, where it become like this was not set up at all. That apparently Mr. Protagonist was the guy um, behind it all, trying to create a temporal pincer movement.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to do something like that. They should have had it so that there's some head of Tenet, but they don't know who it is because no one's ever seen them before, or they're very elusive about who it is, and it's a big mystery. This is the mystery box without the cardboard, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's an inverted mystery box.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like something, and it's like, we've solved the mystery, and everybody's going, wait, there was a mystery?
Yeah. Which is kind of like, it's just kind of a weird. Um, this movie is weird. I think that's the best description for this movie. This movie is kind of like, I think that this movie is like kind of trying to be the Sixth Sense in a way, but with multiple Sixth Sense type moments throughout the movie.
Yeah, further analysis is not going to be kind to this thing.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to bear up to multiple rewatches. I might take. Well, I don't know if my little sister would like it, but I'm interested to see it again, see if that holds up. Maybe next Tuesday, since I've got a Cinemark gift card. One second. I need to wait for a second. Please enter in the chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I've got two.
Okay. I was just thinking, if you guys want a good movie to watch, there's one on Netflix called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's a new Charlie Kaufman movie. It's definitely not for everyone. It's very weird, cerebral, and it's an existential kind of movie, so it's definitely not for everyone, but I really liked that one.
I'm not sure. I never had Netflix and don't plan to get it.
Honestly, I think it's better than a lot of maybe all the streaming services. Like I think it's better than Disney Plus even.
Yeah, but they have a bad habit of getting rid of good
Yeah, they're
shows.
super easy.
That is true. Yeah, got rid of Daredevil.
They
If
got
I
rid of
really
Daredevil?
wanted Netflix, I'll just ask my brother for his Netflix login. So, because he knows I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, they had Daredevil for 3 seasons and then they canceled it.
Yeah, and I
But they're
saw
still
what they
showing the
called
first
the
3
Punisher.
seasons, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, because I still have my Daredevil profile picture. They didn't take that away from me.
Yeah,
No,
no,
on Netflix they let you have
first-
the little profile picture.
Yeah, I know. They still have the first 3 seasons on there, but
Why was it canceled?
Because they were moving on to other stuff and didn't want to do any more Marvel Netflix series.
yeah, I don't know. There's some speculation that it's because of Disney that they had to cancel them, but I don't know. I feel like that Netflix just didn't want to pay for more seasons.
Or maybe they saw it was starting to go downhill. I heard season 3 wasn't actually that good.
No, season 3 of Daredevil, that was actually my favorite season of the 3.
Or what was the last season of Daredevil? Was that season 3 or 4?
That was season 3.
Okay, season 3 where they made all those Born Again references.
Yeah. And season 2 was the one out of the 3 that I would say was not as good.
Yeah. Everybody was hyping me up because they know how much I love Punisher and were trying to get me to watch the Punisher series. So I watched it when I went to visit my parents for Christmas, and that just broke my heart.
Yeah, the first 4 episodes of season 2 are really great, but the rest of it was iffy.
It's like the first 4 episodes are yet another example of Ledger Jokering. It's an interesting character idea, it's executed well, but it's not the freaking Punisher. I'm so sick and tired of that happening. If you're gonna adapt something, adapt the thing. Otherwise, just make your own thing. And that's what Punisher should have been. Punishers on Netflix should have been its own thing. They shouldn't have tried to drag Frank Castle into this. But no, they had to because they're all cowards who don't want to actually stake their foot on a new intellectual property. Say what you will about all this crap with Tenet. At least Chris Nolan tried.
Well, if the character writing is perfectly not flawed or anything, I don't see. Because
well, there's flaws and then there's flaws in implementing an adaptation. If you're not going to adapt it faithfully, why are you adapting it at all? It's so that you can capitalize on the name recognition while not having to do your homework or change the story into something that it didn't used to be. And that's really frustrating to me.
I mean, was it that inaccurate? Because I have a
Punisher,
friend,
incredibly.
That's interesting, because my friend, who's a huge Punisher fan, really liked his portrayal.
Yeah, I saw a video on it that I thought really encapsulated a lot of my feelings about it, and it basically was saying that what they did wasn't a Punisher story. It was a Wolverine story. And that just, to me, so completely encapsulated what was going on and just why it felt so off.
Well, it doesn't feel off in the sense of the series itself. Just if you're looking at it from an adaptation point of view. Because, at least for me, I don't really care about the comic. I've never read it.
I would concur. I think that one of the things that that I don't necessarily have a problem with, unless the source material is superior, I'm fine with doing something that's of equal merit, but is different to the comic. It's just when it's vastly inferior or as just something that's bad in and of itself that I have problems with it. Artemis Fowl as a movie is bad without reading the book. You don't have to read the book to understand that the Artemis Fowl movie is crack of the highest order. So, final thoughts on Tenet before we get into Mr. Confused Matthew being very confused about a very simple tension thriller movie.
My last thought was I thought it was incredibly ironic that they used the phrase "we live in a Twilight world" and cast Robert Pattinson. I wonder if that was a joke on his part.
Maybe it was. No friends at dusk.
Yeah.
So.
That said, this movie definitely did sell me on the idea of Robert Pattinson actually being a Batman. The question is whether or not he could sell that awful face paint mascara job.
Okay, no, but all of the Batman actors have worn the eyeliner thing. We just haven't seen it with his mask off until now, which is why it seems weird to us to see it like that. But I don't know if there's necessarily anything wrong with like showing it in like in front, you know. Like,
Yeah, well, if it's like a scene of him taking off his cowl and he's got the cowl hair and the eyeliner, that's one thing. If he's just wearing that around Gotham City as being a socialite, that's another, and it wouldn't work as well. So it's all going to come down to how the movie executes on it.
well, we see in the trailer when he's like just out on his own, like in normal day, it's not like he's not wearing that stuff. He's just looks normal. So I don't think he'll be wearing that the whole movie. I think that's just what he looks like when he takes off his cowl.
Probably.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We're alrighty. Well, I think like I'd recommend Tenet if you like time travel movies with kind of a different stint, or if kind of you just kind of want a weird, unique experience.
Yeah, like if you want time travel done in a way that you don't usually see, go see Tenet.
Yeah, but otherwise, if you're looking for a movie with like an engaging story and characters that are like have like kind of a lot of personality and characterization, that's the main like falling down of this movie. Tenet is very much not a character movie, and the characters kind of just don't get very much development or personality other than Robert Pattinson. So, is everybody's bungholes ready for Confused Matthew?
I guess as ready as I can be.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just skip past his intro. We're looking at 52 minutes.
Oh, God.
Holy cow. I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm. So right now I'm sharing my screen. My audio should be shared. All right. Ready? 3, 2. So I guess like for starters, like thoughts like what's like our like for those of us who have seen it, what are our thoughts on No Country for Old Men? Like just in general.
I've only heard of it, but I've heard the major plot beats of what happens.
Mhm.
And it's a really interesting thematic idea.
So
I have seen it, and it's one of my favorite movies. It's definitely my favorite Coen Brothers movie for sure.
So we're just talking about No Country for Old Men by Confused Matthew. I thought that this would be an excellent testing ground for Mr. Grant Paulsen, just to kind of see like, okay, like this is something he likes, and I'd like to take a look at a Confused Matthew review. And I actually very much enjoyed this movie. It is a very good atmosphere and tension driven movie and there's some excellent acting. Some of like it seems like the dialogue is kind of just like if you look at it from terms of like a plot perspective, a lot of the dialogue like with Tommy Lee Jones doesn't necessarily like tie into the plot, but it does play into I guess his character, and it kind of just characterizes him as somebody who's just when he's on the job, he's very he's very
His
focused.
character is kind of like representative of like he exists to bring home like the themes of the movie, I would say, especially like at the end.
Yeah, where it's like kind of when he's talking about the campfire, it's kind of like it's very much a like kind of illustration of death, I think.
Yeah, and just getting old in general.
And I think that it's interesting that in the end the film decided to like have Anton Chigurh get away. I think that was a very interesting decision. Did that happen in the original novel, or?
I think it did, didn't it?
I wouldn't know. I haven't read the original novel.
I guess that this was like nearly a page for page of the book, but adaptation. But yeah, I think I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very good thriller movie, and I think that Javier Bardem is able to make a lot of things very creepy just by kind of walking around. And I think that like the script holds up as kind of like almost a slice of life where it doesn't feel like it feels like each event flows into the other. It doesn't nothing feels contrived in the movie. It feels like everything kind of flows into the other and there aren't really like coincidences in order to try and make a climax at the end. I think that's actually a very that was a bold choice and I think it paid off well. So let's start. No, this is how it is. I rewatched this.
Fuck! Well, cat shit. Bunzali, let me get every single response that I'm going to get for this review out of the way right now. Oh, you just don't get it. Chigurh is a metaphor for death. Llewellyn demonstrates that death is inescapable and how you can't run from it. And Tommy Lee Jones demonstrates that things aren't like they used to be and how the world has changed so much and he can't keep up with it. Bullshit! This movie is about nothing. It has no plot. It has no story. It has no characters. This is not a film.
Okay, so right out of the gate.
He's so...
He thinks it's The Last Jedi.
He likes The Last Jedi. He thinks it's great. He thinks The Last Jedi is amazing.
Wait, he does?
Yep.
It doesn't surprise me.
Oh,
We
God.
wouldn't be looking at this guy if he wasn't that stupid.
So he actually acknowledged like some of the things that the movie is about, like right off the bat, and he thinks that's wrong. I'd love to see some proof as to why he thinks that's not correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he hates the original Lion King with a fiery passion. We'll do that too. I don't know what he thinks of Mulan 2020. He doesn't do reviews anymore. They'll like kind of like maybe if somebody asks him a question on live stream, he'll answer it, but he doesn't do reviews. But yeah, like here's what we're dealing with. Basically, he's being extremely dismissive right off the bat, and he honestly thinks that this is the like spoiler for the end. He thinks that this is the worst movie he's ever seen.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's seen stuff like, I don't know, like what's the worst kind of movies ever made, like Batman and Robin or
Yeah. Rocky.
Cuties.
I don't know what he thinks of Cuties. Like apparently like Cuties is gross and disturbing. But for not the right reasons.
Yeah, it is. But
yeah. And like he's reviewed like other movies, like he hates 2001: A Space Odyssey. He hates The Lion King. He actually likes Iron Man 3.
Are we sure this guy isn't inverted?
I'll be honest.
Wait,
I'll be
so-
honest. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I did like Iron Man 3. I'm just gonna be honest about that.
Yeah.
I think
pretty-
that's fine.
pretty much the
But
only MCU movie he likes, apart from kind of The Winter Soldier. Everything else is trash to him, but for really weird reasons.
so when you say The Lion King, you mean the original, right? Not the remake.
Yeah, he actually liked parts of the Lion King remake more than he liked the original.
I haven't seen the remake yet, but I would like to, because I love the original.
Oh, the remake is terrible.
Yeah, the remake's garbage. Don't.
Well, what specifically though? Like, I've just heard people complain that it looks weird because they're real.
Part of it's like the faces.
You
are-
can't tell what's going on because they're real. Real animals blend into their backgrounds, and so you really lose track of what's going on.
But is that like the only
They're not
complaint?
colorful. Well, not being able to tell what's going on is a pretty big complaint.
Well, also the movie removes a lot of the nuance and the character development that was in the original,
Mm.
and they take like previous things and they either heavily like minimize it or they drag things on for way too long. Like the scene towards like the beginning of the third act when Simba's hair travels to Rafiki, like that is basically a 10-minute segment of National Geographic.
Oh, I've heard about that scene. So it's basically a giant waste of time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, Be Prepared is cut out, even though Chiwetel Ejiofor can sing, and he can sing really good.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor too. Like, if you've seen his other stuff, he's excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, let's keep going with this pretty bad video and see where it goes. We might just do parts since this is a really long video, but thankfully we can just let a lot of things play for a while.
So let's get right to it. I don't want to spend any more time than I already need to on this stupid, empty, pointless, brainless, endless, retard, plotting, unforgivable, douchey, bullshit, cock-infested, useless, moronic, arbitrary, pointless, autopilot, waste of time, abortion of a film. The so-called movie opens with a narration by Tommy Lee Jones about
And yet
how
it's
he has
50
been
minutes
sheriff.
long. He's going to be dicking around for 50 minutes, and he starts by telling us that he doesn't want to dick around for 50 minutes. Here's a thought. Don't make the fucking video. There are plenty of videos I haven't made.
Well, I definitely know that I'm going to clip that bit of his thing. I don't want to spend more time on this. Insert the long tirade. I'm definitely clipping that because that's hilarious. That's infinitely useful.
Why does he have such a hate boner for this movie? I don't understand.
Well, he'll go into it, but he thinks that it has no plot or characters in it and just basically wastes the audience's time, when in reality all of those scenes that he says don't have anything happening are kind of more mood establishing.
Well, also, all three of those statements, like, by definition, aren't correct, and that's provable by the movie itself. Like, you can cite specific instances and scenes that contradict everything he just said.
Yeah.
So,
let's keep going and see if we can kind of play for a while.
Since he was in his 20s. He reminisces on the times where lawmen didn't even wear a gun when they were on the job, and how the crimes we see today are mind-boggling to him. He just can't understand the kind of violence and cruelty we see in the world today. Who gives a shit? And the reason I say that isn't because the character is necessarily wrong about that, but because he has absolutely no insight to offer into that phenomenon, which is one of the biggest problems in the whole film. See, usually a character will talk about an issue because he has something to add to the issue or because he has some personal take on it. All Tommy Lee Jones will ever do in this movie is occasionally interrupt other events to talk about those events and conclude, well, things ain't what they used to be. Who gives a shit? Write characters, then make them talk about that. Now let's talk.
That is.
Translation, I didn't care, therefore no one intelligent will care. No, it just wasn't for you.
So, like, first off, yeah, whether you care or not is subjective. And secondly, the whole thing about Tommy Lee Jones not having something to add, the reason why he's commenting on these events to begin with is because he's relating them to his own experiences.
It's just an observation. It's not meant to be deeper than that.
Well, it's also how, like, he's literally retiring from being a police officer because he literally does not fit in this world anymore. Like,
I mean, what this guy's saying is good life advice. Like, don't get involved in an issue if you don't have a perspective to bring, but you don't have to write characters like that. That's not a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention there's other characters in the movie besides him.
Yeah. This is very much an ensemble cast film. There's not necessarily a main character. There's a character that we focus on, and that's Josh Brolin's character, Llewellyn.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's like the main character. Like, it's really about all three of them. It's about Llewellyn, Sugar, and Tommy Lee Jones's character.
He's probably going to eliminate the meaning behind all three characters one by one.
Or was
be
one
a
of them the
rotation.
murderer? The mercenary guy?
And
I forget his name, but I know what he does. He's like, he runs around with a gas tank and kills people with a tube.
Anton Sugar.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one.
yeah. Don't harass this guy. Let's keep things civil. Like, we don't.
Even though he's not gonna be.
Well, he's just kind of like a meh person these days. Yeah, it is kind of going to be 50 minutes of whining. Yeah, and he's not even going to bring good arguments to the table. It's like if you watch that little segment,
It's all right. It's all right. You know, I got my Game Boy. I got my food here. I can stay around.
Yeah.
I need to grab something real quick if we're gonna go through all this. Be right back.
Yeah. I'm going to say that repeatedly. Write characters and have them talk about it. Yeah, they do. You just didn't pay attention because this movie is not for you. Like, he is talking about it because that's part of it. Like, Anton Sugar is a psychopath who is able to kill with only like a certain measure of publicity behind him. And that's kind of hard to not be scared of, because if something is unpredictable, has a certain measure of predictability, you can say, okay, I can tell this guy is going to kill her.
Then we're losing you again.
Wow. I didn't do that. Maybe it's just because I'm near the mic. Does that sound better? Hello?
A little bit. It's just been difficult to hear you today.
Yeah, maybe just. Let's see if I can turn up my microphone.
Yeah, it's like it's noise canceling, and it thinks you're noise. That's what it sounds like.
Okay. That is so weird. Okay. Well, we'll see. Hopefully this will work a little bit better. Let me see. Communication. Does this sound better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Alrighty, cool. If I'm sounding better, we'll keep that going.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. That's way better.
Okay, cool. It was probably just like some weird things with my settings. I think I fixed it. But yeah, let's keep going.
Talk about the characters for a minute. There aren't any. And I don't mean that like the characters are thin or underdeveloped. There literally aren't any. Each and every empty vessel in this film could just as easily be played by the other. They are all completely interchangeable because there is no character that these people are playing. I would say that you could replace them all with Ben Stein, but even that would imply some kind of a performance. No, these people could literally be played by no one. This characterless douchebag may as well be a disembodied bag of money, and this characterless douchebag may as well be a disembodied gun chasing after it for 5 hours. So after Jones's pointless...
That's a plot!
So the fact that someone is a murderous psychopath means he's a bad character?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he didn't get hyperspace rammed at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I think what he talks about is basically that Anton Chigurh just like doesn't talk about what he cares about, like the Joker. Or the thing is like
there's a lot. There is a ton of detail and nuance with Anton Chigurh. And honestly, it is somewhat like Joker, but also not really. Like the coin toss thing, the way he kills people in this movie.
That's Two-Face.
It's very deliberate. It's not like he's just doing random killings whenever he wants. He's basically only killing people who either one, like, you know, the business guy who he kills, he is doing it either because he thinks they deserve it or he leaves it up to the will of his coin, basically. He basically sees that coin as like almost like a god in a sense. Like he...
Or at least like chance chance is the god.
Yeah, like he flips the coin in the gas station and he's basically thinking like if this guy gets it right, then that means he gets to live, basically.
Yeah, isn't the point just basically chaos?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
It's just violence happens at random. That's what he means.
It's either necessity violence or random chance violence. Like if he's being tasked with killing somebody, it seems as though like Anton Chigurh has been dispatched, is kind of like kills his own employers. Is that correct? Like that part of the movie was a little bit kind of confusing, but I think like basically what happened, he got hired to recover the briefcase and then kill the guy who found, or kill the guys who are involved in it.
Yeah, basically. And he just kills other people along the way because he's deranged. But he it's also like, so you know that scene when he shoots the businessman guy?
Mm-hmm.
His assistant is standing there and he basically asks him, are you going to kill me too? He's not like scared or anything. He just asks him that. And Anton is like, you know, that depends. Do you see me? And then it just cuts away and it's implied that he just kind of leaves and lets him live almost. So like, I think that really says a lot about his philosophy and how he basically decides how he's gonna, or like who he's gonna kill, basically.
Yeah, and it's clear, like from like how you're talking about it, you're putting like thought into it, but you're using references. You're not like just making up stuff out of the ether. You're like taking an event from the movie and extrapolating a bunch of events from the movie and extrapolating from that, where it seems like Confused Matthew is not doing that. He's just kind of watching the movie and just like he hates it. This is kind of like the cinematic Venom's Lord of the Rings video in a way.
It almost seems like he didn't watch the movie. So
Yeah. Or at
It
least
seems like he hated the message of the movie, and because of that, he's finding every little thing he can to hate about it. Because these are very facetious movies. For no country of old men, of all things.
Which is a very simple. It's kind of a simple movie when you get down to it, and it's done relatively well. That I could see, like, and it doesn't drag its scenes for the sake of dragging the runtime. It drags it to kind of like rack up the tension, like the hotel stuff, or when Anton Chigurh is trying to get the bullets out of him. Alrighty, let's keep going, shall we?
Narration, we cut to our killer character, Anton Chigurh, who immediately murders one of his captors and then murders some guy on the road with an air gun. Of all the serial killers I have ever seen in films, this one is the least threatening, least menacing, least able to make you care killer of all time. See, once again, usually when people write killers in their screenplays, they try to give them some kind of psychology or insight into what they do. And to be fair, a few scenes with Anton approach something like that, but there is no consistency in it. Sometimes he'll give people a chance by flipping a coin, and sometimes he'll just be bored and kill people. The problem with this is that when you make a character just underwritten, poorly thought out...
Okay, keep going.
The points when he doesn't use the coin, he's doing it because he, like I already touched on this. He very deliberately has people that he specifically is killing, not because he was hired to do so or he was paid to do so, but because he basically sees them as a demeanor to the world in general and doesn't think they should be around anymore.
Like with this guy, he says, like, you married into it, you didn't earn it.
Yeah. And then that, like, this one is, like, just, you know, a bit more of a random thing because he does the coin toss instead of just, you know, killing him right then and there. Because he didn't walk into the station with the intent of killing that guy. It was only after he had the conversation with him and he, yeah, like you said, you married into it, is when he decided to do the coin toss.
Yeah, or as well as like kind of when he like just, it seems as though like Anton Chigurh is very no nonsense. He doesn't like it when people like small talk him. He likes to get down to business.
Yeah, like whenever he basically says like, you know, will there be something else? He says like, you know, you already asked me that. Or like he asks him, what time do you close your store and what time do you go to bed? And, you know, it takes him a bit of time to actually respond to the question because he either says, sir, ? Or he says, we close now. And he says, now is not a time. What time do you close? So he's very like, he doesn't like it when talking is like more.
When people beat around the bush.
Yeah, exactly. He likes to get straight to the point.
And Javier Bardem is really creepy. But yeah, let's keep going and see what more he has to say.
And random, then even the methodical stuff seems random. This guy is more like a tornado, destroying one life and leaving another untouched on a whim. And if you're sitting there asking, well, what's wrong with that? Then answer me this question. How much did you really care about the tornadoes in Twister? My answer is that there is nothing wrong with making a killer less like a person and more like a force of nature, unless you have any interest whatsoever in actually caring about that killer. And personally, I like to care about things in films. And what might be most mind-boggling of all is that this guy actually won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. For what? He isn't playing anyone.
Oh my god.
God, I wish they had asked me to play Anton. I can bumble around aimlessly with a deadpan expression on my face for 5 hours.
Could not.
Yeah.
No.
I knew that you would be pissed at this.
Fucking entitled piece of shit. You think you can do what he did in that movie? For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Right. Whoa. Whoa. Hey.
I'm like, wow, this is just like, yeah. This was a bad take back when he made it, and it's just like, you really are not a very smart man. You.
Did the stream go down?
No, I don't think so. What?
Well,
Stream?
also, like, he...
Okay, it was just Wolf.
What's up?
Oh.
What's going on?
Well,
the
false
stream's
alarm.
still going.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna say, so he literally says it himself. He won an Oscar for this movie. It's like, maybe there's a reason for that, and you should maybe acknowledge it and reconsider your position.
Yeah, since like
Maybe. Okay, look, here's the thing. It isn't so much that his opinion is so unpopular or controversial. It's because it's such a radical opinion. Like, when everyone is saying that something is good and you don't think it's good, maybe don't say, oh, it's the worst movie of all time, because now no one wants to listen to you, and you're probably more likely to be wrong. Maybe say, oh, there are certain things they could have done better, and then just explain that, and we might be more inclined to listen to you.
It's such a first take.
Yeah.
Very little discipline.
But also,
Very little discipline.
He says, like, he likes to care about characters in movies. It's like, I don't think there's a single serial killer movie out there in which you care about the serial killer themselves.
Well, no, it's been done many times, but it isn't so much to make them sympathetic. Sometimes it is, like with Mr. Freeze, for example, in
like what
Batman
do you mean
the
by
Animated Series.
care?
But that's not the rule. Generally, it's more like, we're going to help you understand how this character functions, how they got to this point. That's not the same thing as sympathy. You can understand a character without sympathizing with them.
Well, the way he was saying it, it made it seem like he wanted to be able to sympathize with the character.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, that's almost another video in itself, is when to sympathize, when to have your audience sympathize with a villain versus simply have them understand the villain. And sometimes it's better to not understand the villain. Sometimes it's better. You can do that. You can do a little bit of the mystery box. This isn't it, though. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's almost a video in itself.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think that's just another example of, maybe I'm being too harsh. I think that's another example of the lack of discipline in this take. He didn't even look at the potential in that. Like, oh, I could make another video. Like, no, just, oh, you don't sympathize with him. This is shit. It's like, dude, come on. You just you just swooped over 5 really interesting essay topics just now by saying that.
Yeah, because in this case, with this character, I don't think it's the kind of character you want to write for, like, to make the audience sympathize with him. Just make them understand him, where he's coming from, and where his what his philosophy is, like what logic does he go through.
Well, yeah, because that's just plot.
his
That's
serial
building plot
killer.
and character.
Yeah, and
That's
this
building
movie
plot and
does all
character. Yeah.
Yeah, and this movie does all those things for him.
That's the thing, is that he isn't even asking the right questions. Instead of asking, how does this movie elaborate to us this character's means and ends? He's asking, why aren't I sympathizing with him?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing, like, that kind of he says that this movie is an exercise in obscurantism, which I would wholeheartedly disagree with.
This
What does he mean by
not
that?
This is a very popular
not that
film.
obscure. It is
Obscurantism.
Yeah.
Well, the movie itself is obscurantism.
Well, what does that mean? To be honest, I'm not sure what that
it's basically
means.
like it is obscuring things about the story.
So he's saying it's mystery box.
Yeah.
But but Star Wars isn't.
Yeah.
Wait, how is this mystery box?
So, okay, let me okay, obscurantism. So, the practice of deliberately preventing the facts or full details of something from becoming known.
Can he give us some specific examples of that? Is he about to do that?
No, that's at the end of the video.
Well,
I'm
actually,
just going to bring it.
I can think of examples off the top of my head, but the thing is, the stuff that this movie leaves ambiguous are good things for the movie to do. Like how at the end they leave it ambiguous as to whether or not he killed Bluen's wife. However, there are details thrown in there that leave it like there's enough detail in there for the audience to make an interpretation of their own. Like how when he walks outside of the house, he looks down at his feet and wipes his foot on the porch.
The mat? On the mat? Yeah.
Yeah, the mat or the porch or wherever he's standing. So that kind of hints that maybe he did actually kill her, because that's something that he does each time after he kills someone. As far as
subtlety.
Yeah.
Subtlety.
But I guess Matthew just decided not to pay attention.
Yeah, I guess he's bored. I think like he's just confusing like being slightly bored, because like he'll just like go on. He's gonna go on and on about this, and it's gonna be really like, frustrating, I imagine, for you, especially since you love this movie.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. Let's keep going.
So then we are non-introduced to Llewellyn. Now, if you haven't seen this movie yet, I'm going to do you a big favor right now. When Llewellyn first comes on the screen, he finds a dying Mexican who asks him for water, which he denies, and he finds a bag of money. That's all that happens. Period. However, since the Coen brothers have no story to tell in this film, they decided that we need to spend 15 minutes establishing those two things, mostly by way of him strolling around aimlessly in the landscape. So to anyone who hasn't seen this film, when you get to Llewellyn's introduction scene, just skip the first 15 minutes, which is what the Coen brothers should have done.
Ooh, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's literally
I'm sorry.
wrong.
Could you repeat that for me?
What?
Could you repeat what he said for me?
Basically, he's saying that the Coen, basically the first few minutes are pointless, because a lot of it's filler. Where I would very much disagree with that, because the first 15 minutes is to establish Llewellyn as a character. Like, we see he's good with a gun. We see
unfortunately, I can't comment on that specific statement because I haven't seen the movie, unfortunately. But it sounds like something I would like.
Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah, me too.
Well, okay, how about this? It kind of it makes me think of 38 Special with Clint Eastwood for some reason. Have any of you seen that?
No, I have not.
I haven't.
I would highly recommend it.
I've seen a lot of Clint Eastwood movies, and I think this one's probably better than all the ones that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I would recommend 38 Special. I would specifically like Dunn's input on that.
Okay.
On 38 Special. In fact, I'd like to make a video about that movie, now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely, I'll watch it and I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah. I think one of the problems is like we see that Llewellyn's a veteran, like just based on the way he handles his gun. He walks around. I think that it would be kind of annoying if he kind of the movie. He would also. I think that he would also complain if, say, the movie was just kind of jumped to Llewellyn finding the money among the corpses. He would complain just as much. I think that is probably what would happen.
Oh yeah, you can, like, if it was the other way around and they did skip the first 15 minutes, he'd be complaining that it was rushed.
Yeah,
and they don't establish character. He definitely would.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like an annoying thing that he does. Is basically like, oh man, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It's like, this movie's terrible. It doesn't have
actually, yeah, that's
characters.
exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing, because like I said earlier, he's not asking the right questions. Instead of asking, how is this character explained to me? Instead, he's saying, why can't I sympathize with him? That's a very subjective question. That's a very meek mentality. He's asking egocentrical questions. I don't mean egotistical, that's different. Egocentrical is when you see something from your own point of view by default. So you think that something is bad because it doesn't answer a specific question you have, as opposed to a question that the movie in itself, it would be in its best interest to answer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even just a question that the movie itself is posing.
Yeah.
Like, the first 15 minutes, without those first 15 minutes, you lose a lot of detail and development for Llewellyn as a character, but also you lose those first 15 minutes kickstart the plot. I mean, if you don't have that scene where he finds the bag of money, then nothing else happens. Because the whole reason Chigurh is going after him in the first place is because he found the bag of money.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's just Matthew kind of like does this a lot, where he kind of transposes his own views on the movie, which is weird. Like, he thinks that Simba's a dick and that's a bad thing for the movie.
Well, he's supposed to be a dick. That's
his character arc.
He's trying to learn how to not be a dick. That's his thing. More specifically, is he's trying to learn maturity and humility.
Mm-hmm.
And
which he does by the end of the film. The whole point was that he didn't understand his father's position until he was his father.
Mm-hmm.
Until he was in that position.
Yep.
He didn't understand how to not be selfish either until that scene.
Yep.
More specifically, he didn't understand what it meant to use power for purposes of taking responsibility, as opposed to seizing freedoms. Mm-hmm. At first, he was saying, I can't wait to be king. I can do whatever I want. I can fuck bitches, get money. Then by the end, he was like, okay, I'm a king now, and these are the responsibilities that come with that.
It's like all the parodies.
I guess a funny way of putting it is, it's almost like a positive Godfather when you think about it. It's the same idea. Except instead of becoming corrupted along the way, he became... I don't want to say purified. That's not the right word. Mature, I guess. Just mature.
It's a positive character arc rather than a reductive one.
Yeah,
because in The Godfather, Michael goes from being like a good, decent person to being corrupted.
Yeah, because that the pathway to power, rather than making him more mature, instead made him more corrupted. It took away... It's kind of like the character's response to their loss of innocence was just different. Simba responded to his loss of innocence in a positive way because of the people that helped him along the way, like Timon and Pumbaa and whatnot. And then this is such an odd comparison, but it's really not. But in The Godfather, Corleone realized, like, it doesn't really realize anything. He just kind of, along that path to power, just became corrupted.
Mm-hmm. You just
It's
kept
odd
making
how they were
moral
able
concessions.
to. Yeah, I guess they're two movies that were able to take such a simple concept, but make so many changes, add all these idiosyncratic, plot-oriented things along the way that make a really interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they also take their time and they just put in a lot of subtlety and details into just the characters, so you have a lot to chew on that isn't just the plot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The people that
Like-
make these stories, they're like machines. The way they pump them out, it's insane.
Thank you very much for the plug. For context, I've been pumping out like a book a month for the past 3 months.
Wow, that's unbelievable, actually.
I have 2 more. I finished 2 more, and they're coming out. I'm just editing one of them to get it ready for release this week.
That's awesome. You've been writing since what? You were like 15?
Yes, but most of these I finished over the past 2 years. Most of these books I've written and finished in the last.
I don't want to change the subject too much, but just real quick, what's your editing method? Like, how do you separate editing from writing? Do you get as much time to edit as you do to write?
What I'll do is basically I will like sit down with a book for until I am finished reading through it, and then I'll try and look at the sentence structure. This one is going to be difficult because I wrote it a while back, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm kind of like I've learned a number of things that like now I'm like, okay, I'm a significantly better writer than I used to be. Now I can kind of work out the mechanics of what I'm writing a lot better. So with this, I'm just kind of working out all of the what is it? I'm just working out like a lot of the prose, like making it a lot better, cleaning it up, such like. So that's kind of
One thing that happens to me is when I'm editing, it could sometimes become crippling because I'm so concerned about the way I word things. Like, should I have said a chair or the chair? And you can imagine how long it takes.
It'll depend on whether or not the chair is the only chair in the room.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, for example, like that, like when you ask a million of that, it can become exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, should I go change this word? Should I change this word? That's why I'm asking about your method.
Yeah, my method is kind of just like I read through it and I'll just take a look at it and it's just like, okay, does this work as a like a sentence? Can I improve it? And just go through it like paragraph, chapter by chapter until I finally get finished with it.
Yeah, and another thing that happens is that because sometimes I try to be careful with that because I don't want to become too compulsive and then the story loses its magic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can talk more about that another time, though. Let's maybe continue the video.
Yeah.
Where are you releasing your books?
Amazon Kindle and paperback.
Yeah,
Nice.
he releases them on Amazon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I should be able to. I have another one that's coming out. I have a novella that I'm finishing right now that'll come out before my 3rd book, since it's only going to be at most like it's probably going to be somewhere around like 1,700 words. So there's not really oh, go for it. Sorry.
I was gonna say, do you make enough off your writing that can be your full-time career? Even
not yet. No. I've made $27 in the last little bit. I think like the last couple of months. So
yes, writing is not how you make money unless you're famous.
Yeah.
The moment you learn you're a writer, it should devastate you.
Yeah, I would need to get my own. I need to get a separate job. Like right now, I'm working at Walmart night shift, just so that I can do other things with my time, like school. I'm in my last semester of college. I just have to do this
Yeah,
to
me
finish
too.
my bachelor's. So
Yeah, like what I want to do is I just want to get out of college and just because I'm getting my degree in psychology. So what I want to do is have a psychologically oriented career while simultaneously writing on the side. And I'm just trying to learn how to monetize that. Well, I guess I'm trying to learn how to become efficient at it. And then the next step is to learn how to monetize it.
Mhm.
Right now, it's
Yeah,
just kind of a craft for me.
Yeah, right now I'm using YouTube as my method of advertising, like by reading stuff from my work on stream, by just kind of talking about stories, kind of showing that like I know like at least like what I'm talking about in terms of technicals, in terms of constructing a story, and I'm also showing like how my prose works when we do writer showcase based stuff. So that's kind of been my advertising method. So
Yeah, the reason I made my channel is because I'm interested in making video essays about characters from fictional works that I find interesting and that I need to get certain points across for. But which I'm actually about to loop that into this video in a second for what we're talking about. But that's kind of what I want to do. And then just on the side, I can use it as a platform to read my stories. But it's less about advertisement and more about that I just enjoy reading. Like I like reading things to myself, and I figure, well, I could read it to people, but pretty much all my craft goes into YouTube and fanfiction.net, and that's all my art. It all just goes on there. And but the reason it's relevant when I bring this up is because I want to say about this guy, Confused Matthew. Is that his username, Confused Matthew?
Yeah. Yep, that is.
Huh. Anyway, so the thing about this guy is that he's very it kind of loops into my point I made at the beginning here when I said that he doesn't really separate his specific questions from objectivity very well, and he's very overly aggressive. Like, okay, so a paper that I'm writing right now is about the hero of time from The Legend of Zelda. Neff should know something about this because right now she's playing Twilight Princess. But so the question I'm asking there is specifically what type of archetype Link has, which I've come to the conclusion that generally he's quite clearly depicted in general as a knight errant, which is from Arthurian legend and medieval literature. But I have a position. What I want to do is I want to explain how I don't think that referring to him as such really does his character justice, because I think there were very specific things that leak in from other archetypes, like the Black Knight, for example, which is also from medieval literature. I think there are certain traits from that archetype that seep into his character, and I think those traits are heavily implied by the narrative, but may not be necessarily obvious. So I try to explain in the introduction how I'm saying I don't think that this does him justice, but I still think it's an appropriate way of explaining what kind of character he is. So
Okay.
it's about having some humility is what I'm saying. This guy's got no humility. He's like, fuck all of you. You all think this is good. It's not. It's bad. You think this guy's interesting? No, he's actually completely uninteresting. It's like, no. Don't act like this guy is the archetypal failure. Look at him like, you know what? He's seen as this way. I think there are specific things that I can maybe shift around here. You have to convince your audience to bear with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is he comes off as very aggressive and he has a lack of humility in his statements. There's a severe lack of discipline in his presentation here. But let's go ahead and continue.
Alrighty.
He denies a dying Mexican water and finds a bag of money. There, that's all you need to know. Just skip the first 15 minutes. So Llewellyn goes home and has a moment with his wife. Here we get just the bare minimum of what their relationship is like, but the scene's dialogue is so generic and the characters so empty that it really may as well be anyone sitting there. So since they didn't bother to develop this at all, I can only assume that they don't want us to care about the wife character. Fine. Later that night, Llewellyn has a bout of conscience and
Okay, so first off, leaving the Mexican in the desert, first off, that says a lot about Llewellyn as a character. But secondly, I don't think they really needed a whole lot to establish a husband and wife connection. I don't think that really takes a whole lot.
They're very comfortable with each other, to be perfectly honest, where he says, he's just, where have you been all day? And she's like, meh, I'll just take you in the back and screw you. Yeah, and just like the banter back and forth is really good.
Yeah, and their relationship isn't like a lot of other like husband and wife relationships. Like, it's very distinctive and different, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, kind of his point here is a non-point, really.
and decides to take a jug of water to the dying man. It seemed to me that the dude needed more than water. Maybe he could have just made a phone call on his behalf or something, but whatever. Well, it turns out that the whole thing was a botched drug deal, and some dangerous men try to kill Llewellyn upon his arrival. They don't succeed, so Llewellyn decides to flee with the money. He sends his wife to her mother's house and then checks into a nondescript hotel. So Anton is later charged with the job of tracking down the money and is given a receiver to track the satchel. Then he pointlessly kills the two men that brought him here, and Llewellyn is so far unaware that the bag is equipped with a transponder. Meanwhile, Jones's character and his deputy track what's happened so far. They find Llewellyn's truck at the rendezvous point and inspect the dead men. That takes about 5 minutes too. Now,
All right, guys, I got to get going here, okay? I'll catch you later.
All right. See you later, buddy. All right, see you later, buddy.
It's basically just what happened here, which we already...
Sorry to cut you off. What?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, a lot of the stuff he just said was stuff we already disproved and covered, so I didn't really have anything else to add.
Yeah, he does amend this later on, but yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
You know. So now we're about a half hour into the movie, and all that's happened so far is that some random guy found a bag of money, and now some other random pointless guy is chasing after him. Half an hour, ladies and gentlemen. So then Anton breaks into Llewellyn's house. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess the film thinks that we need to see every single second of that, so I guess we're waiting on the film now.
It was 10 seconds. What is this criticism?
Yeah.
So once he gets in there, he kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there.
I think a giant problem with this guy that he doesn't understand. He
kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there.
He basically doesn't understand tone setting.
So he kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there.
Or establishing character.
So he kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house, and Llewellyn's not there.
This is how he finds out where he's going.
Stop telling me to shut up. That's all that's happening in the film right now. Why weren't you telling the film to shut up? Fine, I won't even describe it. We'll just watch it.
Those papers he looked at was the way he found out where he was going.
And just the telephone records. Like, he can figure out using those to find out, oh, okay.
It's deductive work.
Yeah.
Also the milk, too.
So anyway, after eating up some screen time with that pointlessness, he goes to the person in charge and starts asking questions.
Yes, sir. people looking for Llewellyn Moss.
Did you go up to his trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say he's at work. Do you want to leave a message?
Where does he work?
I can't say.
Where does he work?
Sir, I ain't at liberty to give out no information about our residents.
Where does he work?
Did you not hear me? We can't give out no information.
And notice how he doesn't kill this person. That says a lot about his philosophy. Because he could have threatened her and killed her right there, but instead he leaves.
You know what? If you're just going to waste our time with random, pointless, time-killing scenes like this, why even stop here? Let's just keep going. So then Anton goes to Llewellyn's work. I'm looking for Llewellyn.
He
ain't here.
Oh my god. Dude, she was like him. Like, did you notice the way she was like interacting with him?
No.
Like how she was sort of like a no-nonsense kind of approach to communicating, and she said, like, I think it was like, "Are you deaf?" I said, "We can't give no information out." That's kind of like how he interacted with the guy at the gas station. So I think he sort of like respects her a little bit, and that's why he didn't kill her.
Yes.
So I don't understand what this guy's problem is.
He doesn't have one. He's just a guy who's slightly insane, or at least like has weird, like weird standards of quality that like we can't fully understand.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
I'm looking for Llewellyn. He ain't listed. Okay. And please do not either laugh or get pissed off at me. I'm dead serious. If they're going to waste time with pointless scenes like this...
Do you have any idea how unemotionally investing that whole thing was? Like, if that was how the movie did it, like the way he just presented it, that would be not only boring as shit, but also very rushed and unnatural.
Yeah. Yeah. He talks in kind of nonsense terms deliberately because, like, or at least like they seem like nonsense to us, but they aren't nonsense to him, I guess is the way to think about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because, like, he just says, like, how much have you ever lost on a coin toss? You stand to lose everything and nothing. You should keep the coin separate from your change because it's your lucky coin.
I actually love that dialogue a lot.
Yeah. I like it too. But just like when you break it down, it's just like, okay, this guy doesn't think like us.
Well, when he says, don't put it in your pocket or it'll get mixed in with the others and it'll become just a coin, that kind of is a bit of a metaphor for just humans in general. I feel like he sees that guy as just like another coin in the pocket, basically. Like he's just some nobody kind of person who doesn't really add anything to the world. And I think that he was basically telling him that because in his eyes, he thinks you need to do something like that sets yourself apart from everyone else,
You
and
need
not
to be
just
exceptional. You need to be, you need to be exceptional in some way.
Yeah, and I think that again that says a lot about Anton Chigurh and who he is.
He's very much a he seems like he's very much like a combination of sociopath and maybe even on the spectrum ever so slightly, because it just seems as though like he just kind of like speaks in terms that like only he understands totally. And you can kind of infer a lot about him, but like when you're just having a conversation with him, it's just like, what are you saying?
Yeah, I wish this guy put more thought into like maybe the things that he's saying in the dialogue have like some kind of meaning to it, whether that's literal or metaphorical.
Mm-hmm. But instead, this movie doesn't have a plot. This doesn't have a story. This doesn't have characters. We are making good time, though. All things.
I've gotten 11 minutes.
Yeah. I think the part of it is just like we can kind of like let a lot of his like, and then this happens, and then this happens, just kind of play out since he does that frequently.
Yeah, the best parts of this entire video where he just lets the movie play.
Yeah. Let's keep going, shall we?
His deputy go to Llewellyn's house and just basically repeat the same pointless scene we saw when Anton was just fumbling around the house with a deadpan expression on his face. Once again, we learn nothing about anyone's character or story. They just basically reiterate what we already know. And then we get this shit.
Got any notion of the sorts of sons of bitches that are hunting you?
I don't know. He ought to. He's seen the same thing.
He just drank the milk that Anton had. What does he think?
What have you seen? What has he seen? Who are you? Who is he? Write characters, then make them say things like that. You know what? I'm actually pissed off and fucking sick of even talking about this. I'll just see you all in part 2. Something that I said.
Did he not notice any connection with the milk? And
looking at the reflection in the off TV?
Yeah. How does he not notice symbolism like that? I don't get it.
Yeah. And also, like, the impression that is being made is the fact that he is here and there's a creepy ass dude who is like killing a bunch of people. And it's like clearly these people are not like are dangerous and they made an impression. He does correct himself, but they're still creepy. Yeah. Let's keep going, shall we?
I want to go back and talk about something that I said in part 1. It has been brought to my attention that when Jones's character said that Llewellyn had seen the same things he had seen, and it certainly made an impression on him, he was referring not to either of their general past experiences, but to the scene of the botched drug deal they both witnessed.
Thank you.
My reason for bringing this up is not just to correct my mistake, but to inform you that's actually worse. That actually pisses me off.
Oh my God.
It's a testament to how shitty.
Oh, this guy. How? How is that worse? I don't understand.
All right. Okay. Good choice. Yeah. Matthew would not recognize good writing if it's slapped in the face. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So he likes The Dark Knight. That's something.
Wait, he likes The Dark Knight and doesn't like this? He's actually stupid. He needs the characterization spelled out to him like a moron.
Like,
because that's what Dark Knight did all the time. It's just some men just want to watch the world burn, and the Joker is one of these kinds of men because he wants to watch the world burn.
To be fair, I like that scene. It is obvious, but I don't know. I like that.
It gets its point across in a relatively effective manner.
Yeah, it is simple and rather
straightforward.
And in another defense, the Joker is simple. There's not a whole hell of a lot going on in his head, and that's sort of the point.
Yeah. These are written characters. These people can't do subtle. Yeah. I think I'll just wait. Now, if we're going to cover his Lion King review, both of them, since he did his first one back in the day, and then he felt the need to do a re-review. So, yep, to illustrate more of his points more effectively. So, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. But I like how movies like this are going for more subtlety in terms of story and character development, but he just doesn't seem to pick up on subtlety, I guess.
Nope, he doesn't. Let's keep going.
This movie is. See, it never even occurred to me that could be what they were talking about, and here's why.
9mm. Couple 45 ACPs. Somebody unloaded on that thing with a shotgun.
How come you reckon the coyote ain't been at him?
I don't know.
It's got any notion of the sorts of sons of bitches that are hunting him?
I don't know. He ought to. He's seen the same things I've seen, and it certainly made an impression on me.
When? When did it make an impression on you? All you did when you got over there was just fumble around in the landscape with a deadpan expression on your face. It made no impression on you. You were just bored. Write characters. That makes them say things like that. Now, I do want to apologize for one thing that I said in the previous part. I had made a little parody involving Anton visiting Llewellyn's work and calling information looking for him. That might have been overdoing it a little bit. I mean, the movie wasn't really wasting that much time on meaningless things like that.
Hello?
That's not even meaningless to begin with.
Oh my god!
No, he ain't.
You expect him?
Now, why would I expect him? Who is this?
Fuck this movie! Meanwhile, Tommy Lee Jones...
He's following a trail, you idiot.
He's giving me nothing to work with here. He's making no points at all.
Yeah, which is really frustrating.
Also, he said that didn't make an impression on him. He literally just said that this drug bust that he was investigating or whatever is like not just that, but just cases like this in general, which is why he's retiring from the police force, are just too much for him, and this world has become more cynical and corrupt than it was when he was starting out as a police officer. I don't understand how he's not getting this.
It's because nobody's dropping the title. Tommy Lee Jones never says it's no country for old men.
Yeah, I guess he literally needs to say something that obvious in order for this guy to get it, I guess.
Yeah, for whatever reason, his favorite movie of all time is Moulin Rouge.
Why?
Because it's garish and stupid.
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily bad, but I don't like it.
I think it's like there's a lot of like weird stuff. It's very hyper real. And it's
Neff just made a good point. Cops keep level-headed and keep a straight face because they're acting professional.
Also, the point about finding all the different types of ammunition that have been fired says that there are multiple types of guns, that there's not any real coordination between the assailants that were there, meaning that they must have been operating under the radar and had to get their guns through other means, meaning that it was probably the drug cartel. He figured that much.
But also,
because
like,
he's seen things.
And also, like, the fact that they keep like, that weird thing, like, they're flummoxed by Anton Chigurh's cattle thing, like a gas gun. They don't quite know how it works because, like, they think, like, there's no exit wound or bullet in the wound. So they think, like, what is it?
Yeah, so they don't know. They have to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's a gas gun. He puts people down like animals.
Yeah, it's symbolic.
Well, not only is it symbolic, but this is also an extremely, like, rare means of killing people. It's not very common. So it makes sense why it's taking them some time to follow this trail.
And in the end, he kind of figures it out when kind of like we see him talking about like the gas gun that story, which they're getting to, but it's kind of just like, you didn't notice that he's talking about it? Come on. Yeah.
Continues his role of sitting on ass and contributing nothing to the story when his deputy comes in and discusses the poor bastard that Anton killed on the side of the road. He explains that they examined the body and that they couldn't find any bullet in the entry room.
With no bullet.
Yes, sir. One.
Well, Wendell, with all due respect, that don't make a lot of sense.
No, sir.
You said entry wound in the forehead, no exit wound.
Yes, sir.
You telling me you shot this boy in the head and then went digging around in there with a pocket knife?
No, sir, I don't want to picture that.
I don't either.
The first time that they're for you, Sheriff.
Yeah, I'm not even better hand.
Rangers and the DEA are headed back out to the scene this morning. You gonna join them?
Any bodies that you laid out there?
No, sir.
Well, then I guess I can skip it.
Okay, we already know that Anton killed this guy who has nothing to do with this movie, mind you, with his fancy little air tank. So is this conversation going to give you any insight into that? Is it going to give you any insight into your character, someone else's character?
Yes, because he doesn't know that it was a gas gun.
Also, it's cause and effect. It is.
Also, yeah, he said the guy has nothing to do with the story. He does, because Anton killing that guy is what starts Tommy Lee Jones on the path to finding him.
It ends up coming to nothing in the end, but it's still like it's.
But that's the point. It's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy where the bad guy gets away with it.
Because sometimes that happens.
He doesn't necessarily succeed in getting the money, but he still succeeds in killing the dude.
Yeah, he got away with all the murders.
Yeah. All he had to, and the worst he got, and like, I think like the worst part about it is he gets injured quite a bit throughout the course of the movie. Like, he gets buckshot in the leg, and he like gets a broken arm after a car accident.
I think that has the fact that he gets hit by that car. I think I'm not entirely 100% certain what it does mean, but I think there is a lot of symbolic, like, depth to what that says about Anton as a character and just what it's saying about the world in general. But he's probably not going to pick up on that.
Nope.
Some part of the story? Does it add in any way to the plot? Is there any reason in the fucking universe why we needed to watch that scene? So Anyway, after eating up some more screen time with that pointlessness, Llewellyn checks into a hotel. Now, here's what happens in short order. Llewellyn goes to the hotel and checks into a room. He sticks his case in an air vent and then checks into another room and retrieves the satchel. It seems simple, but of course, we also have to watch him unscrew the screws, take a pole off of the clothes hinge, stand up on a chair, shove the bag in with a big stick, go to the store, buy more poles, put them together, make a hook thing out of it, and drag the satchel back to him. Because we need to sit through all of that.
He's getting ready for Anton's attack.
Yeah.
He's coming.
Yeah, another thing is just like it's not as sped up as say something like Home Alone, but it establishes the same rough purpose.
He's putting himself in a situation in which he can maybe kill Anton, who is chasing after him. And if not, then he has a quick and easy way of escaping. How is this not relevant?
Yeah, imagine if just like it was like, oh, he prepared this whole time. It would be like, okay, yeah, it would make sense, but it wouldn't be as engaging.
Yeah, and if he was just there ready with everything to go, I would be thinking like, man, I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah. Which is kind of a subjective thing, but it's still like yeah, it's like nice to see like a protagonist being really efficient and trying to like come up with creative ways to solve problems. And like going to the various rooms in order to kind of throw Anton off the scent. It doesn't quite work as well as he wanted it to, but it works decently well.
Yeah.
No, the way you have to get over a plan is to claim you don't have a plan, and then when people bitch and moan, tell them that hope is like the sun.
Yeah. And I am bitch and moan, just complain with good reason. Tell us that we have a plan. You crazy, crazy giraffe-necked lesbian Harridan.
We should pull some Baldo maneuvers.
That move is 1 in a million.
Please.
No, that move is 1 in a million. Oh man, that's a nice retroactive screw you to the Last Jedi there.
I made a nearly hour-long video deconstructing how awful Rise of Skywalker is.
Oh wow. Please put that in the suggestions. I would love to watch it.
Wait, how do I do that?
Oh, you just click just basically you copy the link, then put it in to advertise your content.
Oh, on Discord.
Yeah, on Discord. Yeah. Okay. One of these days I'll watch it, I promise. Yeah. But let's keep going with this video. We're almost 20 minutes in, so like thankfully like he just like has non-criticism, so we can just kind of just like, you're wrong, moving on.
Yeah.
That.
Making it easy on us.
Anton eventually tracks the bag to the hotel, but comes in to find Llewellyn's first room empty. He goes to another room and finds a group of Mexicans who were also here to ambush Llewellyn, but takes them all out. So it seems that he has a bit of competition now. It eventually occurs to him to look in the air vent, but by now, Llewellyn has already gotten away with the money and heads for another hotel. Now, I will give the movie this. We have finally learned one trait about Llewellyn other than the fact that he has a bag of money. He also seems to be very resourceful. But see, the problem is that resourcefulness is an external trait. You can make one of the nameless stormtroopers in Star Wars resourceful, and we still wouldn't care because we still don't know who he is. In order for us to care about whether or not some guy gets away with a bag of money, we have to care about or know something about the guy. And we don't. And what makes this worse is that this movie has been on for an hour, and still, all we know so far is that some guy found a bag of money and some other guy is chasing after him.
He's supposed to be some guy. The point is, this could happen to anybody.
Also, he is technically not just some guy. He's a veteran. He's been in combat. He knows what he's doing.
not only that, but he's been established as an incredibly pessimistic person who isn't exactly selfless because he didn't help that Mexican guy out. It's not like he doesn't have any character traits.
Which is unfortunately what Matthew is arguing, but he's arguing with a faulty premise. It's
Also,
it's very difficult to prove a negative, period, but with this one, it's especially bad.
yeah, and it's what makes it even worse is that he said like this could be like just a random stormtrooper or whatever. So first off, I actually like the idea that this movie is saying that this literally could have happened to anyone. Like anyone could have found that bag of money. But also, I actually like it when characters in our movies are competent, and especially like, you know, the antagonists, you know, they're not just incompetent buffoons. And I like when movies establish that, like, their resourcefulness. I don't just want characters to be idiots.
Or omnicompetent Mary Sue or Gary Stu characters.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that Brandon Sanderson talks about when he's constructing a character is he thinks of it in terms of moral compass, competence, and proactivity. And that's kind of usually like how likable a character is. Like, and you can kind of play with that and figure out, okay, what is this character in terms of like, are they proactive? Are they not proactive? Are they people who are unable to are they like not terribly competent and slowly rise in competence? Are they proactive, like, or at least they trying, that sort of thing? And that's why Brandon Sanderson, like he's broken down a lot of like plot and structure and is able to kind of put that into his own writing and able to let people know, like, okay, this is kind of how you write. Here's kind of examples, and kind of explain it in a really simple way that makes sense. So
I agree.
And so, like, because we have somebody who's competent, he doesn't necessarily have like a moral code, but he's competent and proactive, so we are more willing to follow him than, say, somebody who just does nothing. So
it's okay if characters don't have a moral code. You don't need to have someone who like specifically aligns with your morals in order to follow them in a story.
Which is, and I'd love to kind of cover his Incredibles thing, because he basically does a think of the children argument with the Incredibles the whole time, and he's mostly just describing why it's great, but he like says like the fact that this is really dark is really bad.
I hate that. That's one of the worst arguments that I've ever heard anyone make when it comes to filmmaking or writing stories. The think of the children. It's like that you don't show your kids movies like this. That should be obvious.
No, it's like he's saying you shouldn't show your kid Incredibles.
Why?
Because it's too dark.
How? It's a kids movie.
Well, he's saying that it's so weird. I don't get it. It's a very strange video, to say the least. He's mostly explaining all these great things about The Incredibles, but then he's saying like this movie is not for kids. It
is.
Yeah, it's strange. We'll do that eventually, but let's finish with this.
Yeah.
So then Woody Harrelson comes in out of butt-fuck nowhere and starts talking to Stephen Root. Guys, you haven't developed the characters that you already have, and now you're dumping more in? You haven't given us any characters in the hour that this abortion has been running, and now you're introducing more? Why
just
don't you
a
develop the
supporting
characters
He's there
you
for 10
have
minutes.
instead of dumping more empty vessels into this pile of shit? All I'm going to say
Because
is
that's
this.
what
If
the
you're
book
introducing
did.
more people an hour into
he's a
the film,
cowboy
when so
investigator.
far no one and nothing has happened in
Yeah, he's a cowboy investigator, and this guy wants the money.
Everyone in this movie wants the money. Sometimes, it's saying like greed corrupts all, and especially with Woody Harrelson, it gets him killed.
Yep.
And Anton is sort of the one who's there to deliver that message. Like,
It's really simple, Matthew.
It's not hard.
Yeah. It's like, I kind of want to see his Joker review now. Like, if he has one. I don't think he did. But it just seems as though, like, ooh, I would love to see, like, your really bad take on Joker. That would be funny.
Does he hate Joker?
I have no idea. I have no idea what his thoughts are.
Oh.
I'm interested to, like, do you like Joker? Because this, I think, probably based on his, well, kind of like he's unpredictable in terms of what he is, like, what he likes and dislikes. Like, he kind of likes Age of Ultron. He likes Iron Man 3. He likes,
Don't tell me he likes Thor: The Dark World.
He likes
he
overly simplistic movies for children, it seems like.
Well, but and then like he actually hates the first, like he hates Iron Man 2 because it's a commercial for the Avengers. Like that's the main problem he has with the MCU, that it's a commercial for itself. But it's like every sequel in the world is a commercial for itself, for its own series. Your criticisms are invalid. Please shut up.
Yeah, of all the things I could criticize the MCU for, that would probably be at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. Like I think like he does have some funny lines. Like let me see, like mostly in regards to like Transformers 3, which everybody here can argue that it's terrible. And I think like some of the best lines are like
This is beyond a piss me the fuck off movie. This is a, if this movie was a person, I would assault it movie.
Damn. Is this dude okay? Does he need help?
Maybe.
He's kind of calm most of the time, but yeah, like a lot of the time, like he's really angry. Like Transformers 3, like really pissed him off. He hated it, and like
it's a bad movie, but enough that you would say you would assault. If it were a person, you would assault it. Like seriously?
Yeah.
Just a movie, my guy.
Yeah, I just found it boring and dumb.
Yeah. Or like when he's like, but this is kind of a relation to the sequels, but it's like here in the Transformers movies.
I'm just so tired of these goddamn movies. It just needs to stop. I'm sick of the ridiculous, hopeless, pathetic attempts at humor.
To be fair, the humor is pretty cringe.
Oh yes, the humor's terrible in Transformers.
It was meant to be funny.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, he often gets mad at sometimes like for other stuff, but then there's
shit over it. Well, fuck you. People don't talk like this, and people don't act like this. Not everyone in the world is obnoxious as you see them through your lens of bullshit.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, it's like, yeah, or like...
That doesn't even make any sense, you fucking hack. Fuck you. Stop writing. You're not good at it. I wish I could punch you in the fucking face.
We might have to use that more frequently throughout the show. Oh, unfortunately.
When I make videos about movies that are just terrible, I try to limit stuff like that, and I don't I don't like calling people names like that. I don't think it really helps your argument. So if you're gonna make a video about a movie that is like really, really terrible, I'd always suggest limiting your freak out moments, because eventually it just gets like tired, you know? I mean, it seems like that's what he's doing. He just likes to yell into his microphone for 52 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. Though, like, when he's doing, like, stuff like his favorite movies, like The Dark Knight, Blade Runner, and a few other movies, like, he gets actually pretty calm. But, yeah.
Well, so far from his No Country for Old Men video,
And his Transformers.
Yeah, he seems to just be mad the entire time.
Pretty much. Let's keep going.
In your film, you better have a goddamn good reason for bringing them into the story. Harrelson is also hired to track down the money and is on his way to find it. Meanwhile, Llewellyn has checked into another hotel, but this time he discovers the transponder in his bag. When he calls the front desk and no one answers, he knows something's up, so he shuts the lights off and waits for Anton. Anton eventually arrives in the room, and the two begin a chase and shootout. Both men are injured, and both get away. So once again, this movie has been on for over an hour, and all that's happened is that some guy found a bag of money and got away with it twice, and some other guy is trying to retrieve it but didn't get it twice. So after getting away from the shootout,
one of the most
Llewellyn...
intense scenes in a thriller.
Yeah, he is. It's a very excellent cat and mouse game. What are you talking about?
That entire sequence is so nail-biting. It is great. I don't understand why he hates tension, I guess.
I think it's just he's not engaging with the material.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep.
Kind of wanders around the border for 5 hours. Oh, wait. Stop the sarcasm. Here comes a group of kids. Holy hell, is something actually going to happen in this movie now?
What do you expect to happen?
What? Yeah, of course he's gonna run into some people when he's literally walking on the sidewalk in a public street. Of course someone's gonna run into him.
Give you $500 for that coat.
Let me see the money. Were you in a car accident?
Yeah,
Okay, give me the money.
it's right here. Give me the clothes.
Let him hold the money.
Notice the parallels between this scene and the scene with Anton after his car accident at the end.
Yeah, where it kind of shows there's no difference between them.
We got beer too.
How much? Brian, give him the beer.
Okay, well, thanks for sucking more time out of the film to let us know he got a shirt and a beer.
That was...
Lord knows you don't have a story to
60
tell or any
seconds.
characters to develop, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure
he
took
really
a shit
needed
along
to
the way
just
too. Why
break
not
the
just
Don
show us
Pan.
that?
He needed to get his stuff to say what Captain
Anyway,
Marvel
after
did.
wasting our time with that, Llewellyn slowly and tediously throws the bag over a side of the bridge into a nondescript field. Then he just kind of wanders across the border, and the Border Patrol guy sees him, but doesn't care, I guess. Why not? Then he wakes up the next morning and a mariachi band is playing in his face, and his friend is... So meanwhile, Anton blows up a truck as a diversion to steal a few things from a pharmacy. Then he goes home and cleans his wound. So Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound.
So he skips
Why
over
would
the
he-
really. So he skips over the really clever way that Anton gets into the pharmacy, where he takes a shirt, soaks it in the gasoline, puts a cotton around it, and then lights it up so that he causes a distraction. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Completely. Not only did he completely skip over how smart that is, but why would he not clean his wounds?
Well, he'll get into it. Just wait. It's the
Anton
exact
cleans
same.
his wound.
It's basically the same criticism as with the him walking
Anton
around the
cleans
thing.
his wound.
So he's just gonna say
Anton
it's
cleans his
boring,
wound.
and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anton cleans his wound.
Yeah,
No, stop telling me to shut up. If you were happy watching this in the film, you should be perfectly happy watching a description of this in the film.
No.
Anton cleans his wound.
Is nothing.
Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. Anton cleans his wound. No, don't skip this part of the review. If you were happy watching this in the film, you should be perfectly happy watching a description of this in the film.
He's just repeating
I won't even
himself.
describe it. We'll just watch it.
I think another problem is like add some analysis to this scene.
He's doing lots and lots of different things into the service of cleaning his wound.
Maybe the methods that he is using, maybe that says something about him. Maybe that says like maybe he's been in this situation before. Maybe
Or that he is competent.
knows what he's doing.
That he's competent and knows what he's doing. That's what makes Anton Chigurh a good antagonist, is because he is very, very competent.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I guess he just doesn't see that, though.
Yep.
Also, I don't think he understands the importance of show don't tell.
Yeah, because he likes The Dark Knight. But he hates The Dark Knight, but he kind of is mixed about The Dark Knight Rises.
Mixed how?
Like, the first part is good, and then it kind of devolves into bad in the second and third acts. Well, at least kind of there's a long silent portion, so we can just talk over it.
So anyway,
I'm
after
wondering how he
making
didn't
us
get
watch
struck.
Anton clean his fucking wound for
Probably
5
no
hours,
music.
we cut to Tommy
Probably
Lee
no
Jones.
music.
And if you're pissed off at me for making you sit through that, good. That's how you should have felt when you saw it in the movie the first time.
No, we're
So
fine
Jones
to watch it.
still learns nothing you...
We're fine to watch it. We just want you to add some analysis of why it's nothing.
Show don't tell.
Yep.
Wait, people are pressing F. Did the stream go down?
Maybe it's just F for stupid. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
What? It's down? Sawed off. Let me see.
Wait, is it down?
Wait, let me check. Yeah, oh shit, it says stream suspended for policy violations, stream unavailable.
Oh, sawed off.
Shit.
Oh, come on, let me fix it a bit. I'll bring it backward. Forward.
So Jones...
Am I back? Screw you, confused Matthew. Let me... It's not the video. Screw you, you.
Oh, it's back.
Okay, it's back. Lovely. We'll
Yeah,
just kind of
it's
have to.
working.
Still learns nothing useful about anything or anyone. He plans to go out to Odessa to see Carla Jean Moss, who I can't actually remember who that is. Hang on, let me look it up.
It's
That's
Llewellyn
her
Moss.
fault.
It's
Yeah.
Moss's wife, you idiot.
If you don't remember it, that's your fault, not the movies.
And also, he says frequently, Llewellyn Moss. And Moss is his wife, so you gotta assume that it's Moss is her surname, so just so dumb. I hate this.
Oh yeah, it's Llewellyn's wife, who I guess is a character now, at least in passing conversation, but who cares? So as Jones blathers on, he notices a truck outside.
Sheriff? You looked at your load lately? That is a damn outrage.
One of those tie downs work loose.
How many bodies did you leave with?
I ain't lost none of them, Sheriff.
Couldn't y'all taking a van out there?
We didn't have no van 4-wheel drive. You gonna write me up for improperly secured load on me?
You get your ass out of here.
Okay, well, thanks for stopping the movie once again to let us know that Jones
Isn't that the chicken
put
thing?
that tarp down.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Hey, I'll bet you everyone would have tied their tarps down correctly when you were in your 20s. I guess things ain't what they used to be.
It's because it looks like a dead body.
So
obviously.
anyway,
Yes.
more time with that, Llewellyn wakes up in a hospital, and Woody Harrelson is sitting there with flowers out of butt fuck nowhere.
Don't worry, I'm not the man who's after you.
I know that.
He's trying to find the money. What?
I've seen it.
And it led him to Lupin.
Man, you're not dead.
What do you mean it came out of
What?
nowhere?
Did we go down? Oh. Long clips? Oh, come on. Did we just die? Let me see.
Holy
Oh,
crap.
shit. Yeah, it's down again. Damn it.
She's seen him and isn't dead. He's seen him and isn't dead. Seen him and isn't talking about.
Is it back up again? Yeah, I guess we need to pause it with long clips or something. It's not back up again?
He's seen him and isn't
the
dead.
stream is
She's
unavailable.
seen him and isn't.
Oh, I hate that. That's so annoying.
Talking about.
I'll just say it is fair use sawed off. It's not even the thing. It's not the actual film, you stupid bots. We'll just have to skip forward through a few things.
He's seen him and isn't dead. She's seen.
Is it back up again? Let me take a look. Oh,
Doesn't look like it.
freaking hate this. This is annoying.
YouTube bots are the worst.
Oh. Yes!
Oh, back up.
Okay, cool. Okay.
What are you humming about? He's seen him and isn't dead. She's seen him and isn't dead. Everyone in the pharmacy has seen him and isn't dead. You have about a
Maybe there's a reason for that.
Walking away from this guy alive anyway. Fuck you. So we learned 3 things. Llewellyn is a welder, he was in Nam, and Anton has some kind of code, I guess, where he'll kill you, which he does anyway sometimes.
Yes, he does have a code.
So anyway, Harrelson offers to protect Llewellyn in exchange for him giving him the money.
I can even let you keep a little of the money.
If I was into cutting deals, why wouldn't I just deal with this guy, sure?
Pause it for copyright.
Oh, no. You don't understand. You can't make a deal with him, even if you gave him the money.
Is this
back.
one of those things where we're gonna have to speak in tongues to like blot out the John Williams stuff?
Yeah.
Inconveniencing him.
Yeah, that's good characterization. He says if you inconvenience him, he will shoot you.
Yeah,
But he'll at least
if you're a thorn in his side, if you annoy him, then he'll kill you. That's part of his code.
It's very
Unless
simple,
it's
Matthew.
someone who, unless it's someone like the lady who he actually, who follows the same kind of, like, in
No
terms
horse
of
crap.
personality, like no bullshit attitude like he does, then he respects that. So that's why he doesn't kill them. Even though she was like not giving him the information he wanted. He respected her for having a no bullshit attitude.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're actually making like really good time. Like we've only been like covering this technically for like an hour and a half, and we're for about an hour and a half, and we're about halfway through. So only like a few, but we'll see.
He's a peculiar man. Might even say he has principles that transcend money or drugs or anything like that. Not like you. He's not even like me.
Who the fuck are you, man? And fuck you for giving him a line like he's not like you, he's not even like me, when we still don't know what Llewellyn, or Harrelson, or Anton, or anyone else in this film is like!
We do, you just didn't pay attention.
Yeah. This man is not very smart.
Welcome to part 3. So
yeah. Shall we stop the stream right here at 3 hours and just kind of call it a day, or shall we finish it?
I don't know. I'm getting tired.
I've got about 20 minutes left until I had to leave, actually.
Okay. Well, let's cut it off right now, and kind of finish this sometime next week. Since that's probably going to be how it is going to be for The Lion King. So we'll finish it up next Monday, hopefully.
Okay. Were you planning anything for tomorrow?
Currently, it's the writing historical fiction, I believe. Let me pull up the screen schedule on Discord real quick to kind of let the audience.
Yeah, because I don't know which Discord channel that's in.
Oh, I just made a. Let me see.
Oh, fantastic! Ask those more channels that I've never seen.
Yeah. I. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, just so to let you guys know, depending on when we decide to continue next week, I may or may not be available depending on what's going on with school.
Okay.
So I'll kind of just have to play it by ear and see what my schedule's like.
Okay. Yeah, we're down to work around your schedule for this, since like this is like your area of expertise. Like I only just barely found this movie, and I watched it for the express purpose of doing this.
Yeah, that sort of my forte is I watch a lot of indie films and art house films.
Okay. Oh, actually, okay. So let me share my screen real quick. So I recently just put up a stream topic schedule thing just to kind of make sure that like.
Is that what the channel's called? Stream topic schedule?
Yep.
I see stream topic suggestions.
It's up at announcements.
Okay, announcements. Ah, there we go.
Yeah. So like I'm showing it right now. So 17th, 22nd, and 24th, we're going to be talking about. Okay, so 17 is actually we're going to be talking about how to work with overpowered characters.
Ooh.
The topic of tomorrow's stream. Villains Who Are Right is next Tuesday's stream, and then on the 24th, it's alternative history fiction.
So nothing for the 23rd yet?
Well, the 23rd, I just mostly just put up like topics for like general discussion, like the topic streams, and then the reaction stuff is kind of in between, and we just kind of play it by ear.
Okay.
So currently, for October, like we have like kind of this. If you kind of have any other input,
looks really loose right now. Hard to say.
Yeah, it looks really loose. We've got. I'm gonna be probably trying to binge a number of horror movies over the course of it. Oh my goodness! Is it not able to, or is it visible, or is it not able to? Are you guys not able to see it very well?
I'm able to see it.
Oh, okay.
Because I have it pulled up.
I can see it.
Okay. But like kind of that's for. Let me zoom in real quick. Just to kind of like let people see what it is. So that's kind of like what the schedule for the rest of September, for most of September, is going to be. Let's kind of, we'll have to kind of do some discussion of what stuff is going to do. Let me see. We're going to have to kind of do some figuring out of like horror as a genre. And in terms of schedule for this week we're going to be finishing up. Tomorrow we're going to do how to work with overpowered characters, and then Friday we're going to do finishing Yez and IRL's video at 3 MST, and then we're going to be doing writer showcase as usual. And then on Saturday, we're going to do a writer showcase as usual, but after that, we're going to do something special for you guys. We're going to record a live commentary for the Chronicles of Narnia BBC version, specifically The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I'm very looking forward to doing that one because thankfully we won't have to worry about like copyright stuff, but what we'll do is you can pull it, everybody will have a watch together, and then when the movie does something that is kind of funny, I can pull up the watch together and show like this is what they're talking about, what we're talking about, to give you some context. So you don't have to watch the whole movie. You can watch the movie along with us. That would also be good. But that's how it's going to work for this week. And then Sunday we might have a discussion on The Dragon Reborn. Book 3 of the Wheel of Time with me, Dr. Crow, and Blue. And that's how that's going to be. Next week, that's kind of the schedule of Villains Who Are Right is Tuesday and then Thursday. And then next Monday we'll finish. Next Monday probably we'll finish Confusing Matthew. And then on Wednesday we'll do like I was thinking about doing like the hypocrisy of Just Right, where kind of we compare his takes on various things with his TLJ review. So
literally every death that happens after the first game is Joel's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to cover The Last of Us 2. It's mostly going to be movies related, like what is it? Like what he thinks of Marvel movies versus what he thinks of The Last Jedi, which is weird. It's weird because he says, I hate the bathos in the Marvel movies, and yet I love TLJ. Yeah, it's like, okay, that is a legit hypocritical statement, my friend. There is more bathos in the TLJ than any Marvel movie, aside from maybe Thor Ragnarok.
I actually thought Thor Ragnarok was pretty funny. But
TLJ, it is very funny. Oh, it is very funny.
Did not fit. The humor did not fit TLJ, though.
No, it didn't. It did not fit. No. I think that like Taika Waititi is a better comedian than Rian Johnson is. Rian Johnson's a terrible comedian.
Taika Waititi's great. He's made a lot of other really good movies outside of the MCU.
yeah, like Jojo Rabbit was really good. What We Do in the Shadows is really good. I'm doing my dark bit. Oh, I haven't. I actually don't know much about that one. I need to watch it. I just know the like the quotes from What We Do in the Shadow, like I'm doing my dark bidding on the internet.
Yeah, I think Hunt for the Wilder People might be my favorite of his.
Mm-hmm.
What We Do in the Shadows is really great though, so that's a hard one.
Yeah, he's a really funny guy, and like I think that he knows how to balance comedy and drama relatively well. Like there are some dramatic moments, but it's like Thor Ragnarok is a comedy first and foremost. The Last Jedi is a mess.
To be honest, with Jojo Rabbit, I think some of the more serious moments could have been built up to a little more, because sometimes it did feel like it was kind of flipping a switch between like being comedic and being serious. But other than that, that movie is really good.
Well, we'll conclude this stream for today. Thank you very much, everybody who decided to come. I know Smudcast happened, and thank you for sitting through the workings out of the stupid copyright BS. But anyway, thank you all, and I must say one last thing.